From Pitt Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, USA Sports presents College Football 85. And today, the Eagles of Boston College take on the Panthers of Pittsburgh. Well, the air seems rather heavy here. In fact, as heavy as the steel the city is famous for. The humidity makes Pitt Stadium feel jail cell close. And right now, the temperature is 77 with the humidity 59%. The wind is southwest at 5 to 6, and the forecast, sunny, hazy, and very difficult, I'm sure, down on that artificial surface. Hello, everyone. Eddie Doucette with my pal, Kyle Rote Jr. And this is a very pivotal game for BC, Kyle. They have lost a couple of games already this year. They've won one, but they're the defending Lambert Trophy team. And if they're going to do anything with their season, they must start today. Came close against Maryland, played them good for three quarters, only to lose 31-13 last week.
Well, not really close enough, even though they were behind only by 4 points going into that fourth quarter, 17-13. In the fourth quarter, as Coach Bicknell said, they really kind of self-destructed. They had 2 touchdown passes called back from penalties. They fumbled the ball within their own 10-yard line. They missed a couple of kicks, too.
Time of possession seems to be something that always pops out when you evaluate BC's performance.
Particularly because they're not nearly as deep as a lot of these other football powerhouses like Maryland or Penn State or Nebraska. And for BC, their defense has been on the field just too many minutes, and because of that, they're being outscored at the ratio of 6-1 in the fourth quarter.
Maybe that's part of the problem why their secondary's had some problems, although those numbers are getting better from that BYU game.
Well, there have been a lot of teams that have suffered that baptism of fire from Bosco and BYU, and they gave up 508 yards against BYU. The last couple of weeks they've been getting better, but they do only have one returning starter, Neil Eiton, and he's hindered a little bit with an injury to the right ankle.
But their ace and the man that Jack Bicknell calls his best athlete, Troy Stratford, their great running back, still won't play.
You know, his injury, I think, Eddie, is more devastating to that team than anyone else, perhaps except if Mike Ruth were to get injured. He has been their leading rusher for the last 3 years, was the MVP of the Cotton Bowl last year, is not only a great receiver, but he's also a tremendous runner, and he's a player that Bicknell says is the best running back he's ever been associated with.
Shawn Halloran, I think, is improving. He's down to like, well, 7 interceptions is not real good, but 52% on completions. And when you take a look at that Pitt defensive line he's up against, they only give up 57 yards per game on the rush. Will he pass more today?
Well, he's going to have to pass, but let's keep in mind that he's a different kind of passer and a different kind of quarterback than Doug Flutie. He's much more of a drop-back type passer. Doesn't seem to be able to sense the rush the way Flutie did, but in all fairness to him, he's a good quarterback, but no one can really compare with Doug Flutie in the Boston College offense.
He has some fine receivers. You take a look at Gieselman, Flutie, Dombrowski, and Kelvin Martin. In fact, we see him working with Kelvin Martin right here.
Well, Kelvin Martin was one of the top receivers for Doug Flutie last year. We see a good pass by Halloran out on the out pattern, but we're also going to see Kelvin Martin going deep. For Kelvin Martin, now the young man, known as the Florida Flash, only 1 TD reception away from setting a new school record. A very acrobatic catch right there.
But the fellow they really like to talk about in Boston these days is the big man in the middle, the nose guard, Mike Ruth. 4 sacks so far. He's all over the place.
Well, he's got tremendous speed under 5 seconds in the 40. Obviously great size, 268, vertical jump of 32 inches. Tremendous performer.
He's drawn a lot of attention. Has all the double and triple teaming been frustrating this year?
Well, sure, it gets frustrating. You know, it's a pain, to tell you the truth. But then again, when you look at the whole thing, it's kind of fun. You know, it's you're still playing football and you're still playing hard, and I think that's the key.
In Pittsburgh, they're calling 85 the celebration of tradition.
They had nothing to celebrate in 84, I think.
They had nothing. It was kind of a dramatic pause. They were 3-7-1. So far, they're 1-1, Kyle, and save for a couple of missed field goals and a fumble last week against Ohio State, they could easily be 2-0.
And despite the fact that Byers was out of the game for Ohio State, they really played very well, and they showed me something in their quarterbacking with John Conjemi. Their running attack, they can pass, they can run, they can do a lot of good things, and they're going to be a good ball club.
Philosophy-wise, and you look at their offense, it's basically very simple. 60% run, 40% pass.
Well, when you've got a good, experienced offensive line and you've got some good running, and particularly with Conjemi healthy, now able to run the option and to run the ball himself, it doesn't make a lot of sense to always put the ball up in the air.
Had a bad ankle all of last year. Has an excellent offensive line, and the fellow you want to watch is the big right tackle, Randy Dixon.
Well, Randy Dixon is not a Bill Fralick yet, but Coach Joe Moore, who is really, I guess, the man behind this football-producing factory of offensive defensive lineman says he could be a great one, and if Joe Moore says it, then I believe it.
If I had to pick one fellow, though, that has really impressed me with Pitt so far, it would have to be the sophomore running back, Charles Gladman. He's been terrific.
Well, as an All-American coming out of high school, was their second leading rusher last year. The man who was first, Craig Hayward, is out this season for disciplinary reasons. And when you look at Gladman, he's got tremendous speed and tremendous ability to juke in the secondary.
Good linebackers. Their defense is set that way, and Apke and Lavinia, we'll talk plenty about them. You can still pass on this team. They give up 322 yards per game, but they have a passing game of their own. Let's see a touch of Pitt's offense, and listen to Fazio talk about his quarterback.
Well, number one, Johnny's the leader of the offense. He has a lot of experience. He's going to make the plays for us. He has a talent, and of course, he has all those intangible things that are very necessary to run an offense. The players like him. He's like a coach on the field. He makes the right decision. He has a lot of confidence in his ability. He's a leader, and all those things all add up to making the offense go. And Johnny has all those things, and when he's in there, I think we can move the football.
He was 12 for 21 last week with 139 yards, and he's getting better all the while.
Let's take a look at Gladman right here. Able to move through the line, gets good blocking from up front, but when he's in the secondary, he's going to be tough to stop by one man. He's got the ability not only going to the left, but also to the right. He's not only going to break out of arm tackles, but he's got that breakaway speed in the tradition of the Pitt tailbacks.
Oh, he's very entertaining. Defensively, they've done some pretty good things, too. Bob Bukowski, you watch him right here, 95. Best game ever at Pitt.
And the defensive line for Pitt gets good penetration. Not only good penetration, but enough to get the interception right there.
Let's find out what Foge thinks about today's game.
Psychologically, we've had two big games and two games that really drained us emotionally and psychologically, and it's tough to get the players up every week, but we're going to have to be up for BC because they're a strong physical football team.
Well, that's Foge's job, and I'm sure he's ready for the task. He's quite an affable fella, as is Jack Bicknell. Both these coaches have established themselves as fellas to watch in the East, as is Pitt and Boston College. I think it'll be an exciting game.
Well, it will, but, you know, Foge can't have any close games anymore. He can't just be near. He's got to win ball games because the fans and the alums expect it.
All right, our kickoff is just around the corner, and we'll be coming back to Pitt Stadium after we break for these words, coast to coast on USA.
Introducing something new and rather amazing. A super high-octane gasoline with twice the detergent it had before to give you a plus. A detergent strong enough to actually clean dirty fuel injectors to give your car power and performance it didn't have before. New Mobil Super Unleaded, high octane with a plus.
The lengths people go to listen to a Delco music system may strike you as a bit odd until you've heard it.
That's a true bop bop. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, my radio's busted, my rent's coming due. Bop bop. All right. Bop. My woman left me. That's nothing new. Bop bop. But I'm still looking like front page news when I button fly my 501 blues. Bop bop. Bop. That's the truth. Bop bop. Levi's 501 blues. Don't it make you wanna hoo?
We're back at Pitt Stadium, and that man is Pat Biancourt, who will be doing the kicking off for the Pitt Panthers. They will be kicking to our right. Tracy Giles and Tyrone Taylor are set to receive. That is Giles. Back to the 15, out over the 15 to about the 18-yard line. And Lee Hetrick, a reserve linebacker, was the man that pulled them down for the Pitt Panthers. So Tracy Giles, a freshman running back, and again without Stratford, they're having to fill in between the lines and go with him. Terrell Austin is going to be starting here as we look at BC now with Halloran, Bell, Gieselman, Martin, and Dombrowski. Those are the specialty people, the offensive line with Sean Regent, Twombly, Goetzky, Oliver, and Trapillo. Immediately, Pitt goes to a 5 defensive back set looking for BC to put it in the air, and they said they may go as many as 40 times. Number 33, Jim Bell, tries to get outside over the 20-yard line. Quentin Jones, the right cornerman, coming up for Pitt, and we are underway. A very sultry afternoon here in Pittsburgh. Big man on the end is number 54, and he is a good one there. You want to remember him, Sean Regent, All-American type quality. Chuck Gregory has come in at a wide receiver now. Darren Flutie playing with a sprained ankle if he plays today. And again, Pitt going with a 5 defensive set. Wide receivers stretched to the near side for Boston College. Halloran on the give, and they've run 2 running plays and straight up the gut. Steve Apke tackling the running back, the fullback on the player, the tailback, Jim Bell. So Pittsburgh will get a test defensively, and they'll have John Carter, Walter Johnson, Atiyah, Bukowski, and Woods across the front, with Lavinia and Apke, 2 excellent linebackers. And their deep secondary will go Callahan, Washington, Quinton Jones, and Johnny Lewis in the right corner. Terrell Austin's come on back now. They're playing with a 4-man secondary. BC with 1 lone running back and receivers stretched to the left and to the right side. Halloran. That's Ken Bell. He snakes his way over the 25 to the 30 into the 31-yard line. Bill Callahan has Boston College with 1 first down already, trying to keep it going, and so far, Kyle, they've stayed to the ground.
Really good situation for them as they get the momentum going into the ball game. The worst thing for Shawn Halloran is not to get success early. He's been in Boston College for 4 years, but has not been in the spotlight that long, and he's still trying to get the confidence of his teammates.
Chuck Gregory in, so far we've not seen Darren Flutie. They flip-flop the tight end. Lone running back, and again, this is Ken Bell. He's out to about the 33-yard line. Bob Bukowski, 6'5", 265-pound senior from Gateway, Pennsylvania. There's Jack Bicknell, wigwags the signs out to his quarterback. Jack Bicknell, who's been around some time now. He's in his 10th year. He's 33, 16-1 at Boston College.
He's also said that his quarterback situation he believes is solid, which really lends more credence to what we were talking about earlier, that they've got to avoid the injuries because they have the depth problem. That's their main concern.
Kenny Bell, Jim Bell in the eye. They've got Sean Dombrowski in the ball game. Hadn't seen him in a while. Shawn Halloran going deep down here near side, and he had a man, and he overshoots him at the 30-yard line. The fleet-footed Kelvin Martin, who has 13 career touchdowns, a couple this year, and he was there, Kyle.
Well, we had splitting coverage with Martin and Dombrowski going deep. 2 of the Pitt defenders went ahead and went with Dombrowski, which allowed Martin to stay wide open in the pass just a little bit long.
3rd down and 7. That's the call right now as Tom Waddle comes in. Kelvin Martin comes out. We have 5 backs in for Pittsburgh. We'll see 5, sometimes 6 backs. They go with the nickel early and then with a dime. Giaquinto is also in, and now we have a whistle, a timeout. So Boston College taking an early timeout here. Strange. We are not that far in. 12:32 in the quarter. No score from Pitt Stadium.
The Kemper Cavalry. Why do so many people trust their auto and home insurance to Kemper?
First accident forgiveness.
Kemper Total. Repair or replacement value coverage for my new car, as long as I own it.
Guaranteed renewal for good drivers 55 and over.
Compare Kemper's loyal protection with anyone. We don't have to toot our own horn. Once you compare Kemper, you'll ride with us.
This week on Saturday Nightmares, haunting portraits leave a deadly mark in Paint Me a Murder. And David Carradine is a ghost from the future with murder on his mind in a distant scream. Then, Night Flight leaves you laughing with a look at parody and music video.
Now you know, my darling, that you know who you are. Come on, let's mingle. So nice to see you.
It all starts at 8 Eastern on USA Tonight.
College football 85.
Tonight.
College football 85 is brought to you by New Mobile Super Unleaded, the high-octane gasoline with a plus. By Delco Electronics. You'll love our music systems so much you won't want to leave them. And by the only jeans that shrink to fit you and you alone. Levi's Button Fly 501 Blues. We have 6 backs in defensively for Pitt. 18-yard drive for BC so far. Halloran. And he splits the seams, and he goes to Jimmy Bell. Inside Pitt territory, down close to the 40-yard line, Terrell Austin. who is a sophomore nickelback, 6'2", 190 pounds, from Sharon, Pennsylvania, made the tackle.
Terrell Austin here does the Philadelphia ringing bell here as Halloran in the pocket. Started to scramble, but got the ball out to Bell, and here comes Terrell Austin across, puts the shoulder in. Bell going off the field, but very fortunate to hit that seam because there were so many defensive backs back there for Pitt.
29-yard pickup, first down and 10. 5 backs in, fumble on the ball. Bodies all over the place, and Kyle, quite frankly, this is the one thing that both teams must try and prevent. Boston College had a couple of fumbles last week that were costly, one in particular, along with some penalties. You can't afford to make turnovers, particularly when you've got so much going, as Jack Bicknell has just indicated.
Well, one of the critical differences between Flutie and Halloran, Flutie had to make things happen for Boston College to do well. What Halloran has to do, now that he's the quarterback, is just not do stupid things. Play within his ability, don't make a lot of mistakes.
Loss of 4, 2nd and 14. Shawn Halloran gives it over to Tracy Giles, and he threads his way down close inside the 35-yard line. What do you think Jack Bicknell had regarding thoughts on this game today? Let's find out what the coach has on his mind.
Well, we're going to have to play aggressively on offense, but not, we just can't get out of control. We've been a little out of control. We've self-destructed the last couple of weeks, and we can't do that. And then defensively, it's going to be a real challenge. Our linebackers and our up-front people have got a very talented tailback, and they've got good balance with a quarterback that can throw and run. So we're concerned about the tailback and the quarterback, and it's going to be a heck of a football game.
Halloran to pass. Halloran under big pressure, and he throws the ball away. They had a 6-man rush coming that time. Quentin Jones, number 7. Matt Lavinia was there to put some heat on, number 45. And so Halloran will have to come away on a 4th down situation. So Boston College is going to bring in Steve Peach. The kicking game for BC has not been good. They've decided on one kicker. We'll see him throughout the day, David Rooney, but not in this situation.
We're going to have Rooney coming in to attempt a 51-yard field goal.
Oh, there he is. He's getting a big test early. David Rooney.
Not enough.
And so much of what your team does these days rides in the kicking game, psychologically. And now Boston College will try and regroup. We have no score, 10:51 in the quarter from Pitt Stadium.
Hi, I'm Jim Feist. Last week, my clients won.
We'll have John Congemi, the quarterback, with Tom Brown and Charles Gladman, the running back. Clint Wilson and Matt Stennett are the wideouts, and we'll also have Chuck Scales in there coming out to the near side on the flank. In motion, they come with Clint Wilson, the tight end. They overload the right side. There's Congemi, little turnout, number 24 on the far side. That's Matt Stennett, tackled by Neil Eiton. So Pitt, unlike last year, Kyle, when they like to go long, they're going more like BYU this year. They go the little short ones. We'll talk about that. Congemi with Gladman, Brown, Wilson, Scales, and Stennett. Those are the people you'll be keeping a lot of your eye on today and listening to. Tony Brown, Stepnoski, Pettijohn, Durundo, and Dixon. And there's a story there on the left guard, Stepnoski, which we'll detail for you. Coming in motion, Chuck Scales. Pitch back. This is Gladman to the 40. And out of bounds, close to the 45-yard line. Carl Pelagata, the free safety, bumped out by a brilliant young runner who's averaging over 6 yards a carry. Defensively, Chuck Gorecki, defensive left end, with Boza, the big man in the middle, Mike Ruth, Degnan, and Billy Thompson. Linebackers are Bill Romanowski, A+ to him. Chet Gaffney with Creshbane, Carl Pelagata, Neil Eiton, and Rory Perriman. They may try and pick on Perriman today.
With that last rush, they picked up the first down, 1st and 10 now for Pitt.
Ball at the just shy of the 46-yard line. In motion goes Matt Stennett. Give it to Gladman again. Hit in the backfield and does fight his way up over the line of scrimmage. The ball banged loose, Rory Perriman. But I believe the initial penetration was made over there by 98 Mike Degnan, wasn't it, Kyle? Or was
I think it was Mike Ruth, number 68. Let's take a look. Let's watch Ruth right here going against the blocks. Ruth gets penetration in the backfield, makes contact as he always does in the offensive backfield. Tremendous strength of Mike Ruth to stop the play.
2nd down and 8. No surprise. Ruth with 22 tackles and 4 sacks. He's an Outland Trophy candidate. Watch him in the middle, number 68. He jumps off sides and gets back. Send a man in motion. Cut a man over the middle. Complete inside the 40 and spinning down to the 35-yard line. Michael Stewart stopped by the free safety, Carl Pelligata. Mike Stewart, his second catch of the year. He had 1 for 12. He's 6'4", 195 pounds, a sophomore from Ohio.
This is why Fazio is so pleased that Congemi's healthy. He's a coach on the field. He reads the defenses right there, knows what's going to be open, is able to hit into the seam, and is able to find Michael Stewart, who's a pretty smart man himself, carrying that, he's well over a three-point, I know, in his studies.
Congemi, 55% on his completions this year. Give it to the fullback. Tom Brown slides down the right side of the line and finally stumbles forward inside the 30-yard line.
I mentioned that a minute ago about the intelligence, and that's so important in modern football because everyone has to read the defenses, not just quarterbacks anymore, but receivers do too, and they've got to be able to see what's going to happen. Here's the off tackle with the block out. Tom Brown following those blocks, keeping his legs moving, and falling forward as all good fullbacks do to get the extra yard.
Second down and 5. Romanowski made the tackle. Stewart in motion. Charles Gladman. 28-yard line. Carl Crushpain was there. Also Bill Thompson, the defensive right end. Stewart will come out of the lineup for Pitt. Pitt, remember, 1 win, 1 loss. Lose 10-7 to Ohio State. And had a very exciting first game win over Purdue, 31-30 for that man, Serafino Dante Fazio. Congemi, the quarterback. Incomplete. Intended for Chuck Scales. His dad played in the NFL, Charlie Scales, for the Steelers and for the Cleveland Browns. Rory Perriman there to defend, and it'll be a 4th down and 3.
Perriman came up, almost had the interception, but we've seen Perriman beat deep before. Don't be surprised if Congemi's just setting him up for not only the down out, but the down out and down to try to get behind him later on.
Coming in to kick will be Mark Brasco. He is 1 for 3 on field goal attempts. That came from 43 yards. Penalty flags. Kick is no good. It would have been a 38-yard kick, I believe, but it was no good in their flags. Let's see what the official says. Offsides against Boston College.
That'll make it 1st down.
They needed 3. They got it. 1st down on a penalty. Referee today is Joe Klimshot. He'll mark it down. Let's see if we can get a call from him direct. I'd rather hear from the main man himself. Well, didn't quite hear him. Here's John Congemi again. Matt Stennett in the ball game for Pitt. Tom Brown, Charlie Gladman, the running backs. Chuck Scales, another wide receiver. Staggered on the left, motion to the right side, Scales. Gladman inside the 20 and out at the 14-yard line. Oh, is he a dandy? Run out of bounds by Crushpain. Bosa.
Much like Dorsett sets up deep, it's an off-tackle play. Tom Brown's supposed to kick out on the defensive end. The end isn't there, so Brown's able to make contact. Gladman goes to the outside and picks up good yardage.
Pitt will be looking for the blitz and trying to counter it. Gladman, 20 rushes this year. Now his per yard average at 5.2 last week. 20 rushes last week, excuse me. He had 163 yards against Purdue in game 1. How close are they? 1st down.
Trying to hold on to as much energy as they can.
Time of possession, so important. We talked about it at the top. Clint Wilson, the tight end. Tom Brown, Gladman, the running backs. In motion goes Mike Stewart. Give it to Gladman. Can't go anywhere. They tried to go right at the gut, the strength of that BC defense. And they try and challenge Mike Ruth, but Bill Romanowski's right there, along with the other linebacker. And 8. Eddie Doucette, Kyle Rote Jr. with 7:05 to play in the 1st quarter. Chuck Scales in motion. Gladman got a good block. Penalty flag thrown. Got inside the 10. Let's see who it's on. Might be holding against Pitt. Chuck Gorecki, defensive end, over there to make the tackle. Watching Randy Dixon. He is 6'4", 280 pounds, a junior. He's from Cleveland. Brown's the fullback, the blocker, and a good one. And Jimmy. Gladman slides away. Can Jimmy on a throw? Great catch by Chuck Scale. In a crowd. Carl Pelagata made the tackle, but what a catch in traffic.
Take a look again. Jimmy's not known for having a real cannon, but he drills this ball in. Pelagata on the defensive play comes through, hits the ball hard, but it doesn't pop up because he had two hands on the ball. That is Chuck Scales.
Now Boston College has moved Tom Farrell, who's a nose guard, in there alongside of Mike Ruth. So they've got some big concrete in the middle. Stennett and Scales and Shuck are the receivers. And Jimmy, 3 of 4 so far. Couldn't hang on. Could not hang on. Are back. Twin safety at the goal line for the BC Golden Eagles. And Pitt with a great tradition. They've won 9 national titles. And in 2 years, this university will be 200 years old. As Biancourt now talking to one of the officials. Officials today, incidentally, Joseph Klimshot, the referee, Ronald Abdow. The umpire, head linesman Donald Gluman, line judge James Twitty, side judge Charles Phillips, the field judge Walter Lucas, and the back judge Albert Ferber. Here we go. Tyrone Taylor at the 15. Tries to get to the 20 and does with an extremely good second and third effort. Quentin Jones, one of the starting corner people, made the stop. So Boston College from their own 20. We'll start it, and Shawn Halloran will come in to see if he can get his club on the board. Kelvin Martin will be there. You'll have Ken Bell, Jimmy Bell. Now what do we have? Some confusion on the field talking to Boston College. Now Pitt has a reputation for being notoriously tough hitting. And there's going to be a penalty, and they'll kick again, Kyle. Did you pick it up?
Didn't see it. They may have been offsides. I just really don't know.
Yeah, they're going to mark it back. It wasn't offside. That's what it was. You're right, Kyle. Just got the indication. Offside, Pitt. Move the ball back to the 35-yard line.
Generally, if Boston College had already received the ball, the penalty would have been assessed from the point of the tackle, and so it must have been before they got it, and that's why the guess that it was offsides. Taking a look now at Pitt a little bit with one of the difficulties that they're having at their kicking game. One of the real frustrations for both coaches, Bicknell and Fazio, because they're not going to blow out a lot of people, and that kicking game is going to be really critical for them.
This, incidentally, is the 12th meeting between these two schools. Pittsburgh has the series edge 9-2, and they beat Boston College their last meeting in 1981, 29-24. BC from the 7. Tyrone Taylor at the 25, over the 30, and out to the 33-yard line. Tyrone Taylor, who has been hurt but playing today. Troy Washington was the man that pulled him down. Normally, he's the free safety.
Halloran now coming out again. He's moved his team pretty well. But again, when you see Halloran, anytime he has to scramble, look at the hesitancy that he has to go ahead and run. And I don't know what the fear is from other than the huge size of the defensive players he's going against. But many times last week he had a chance to run and hesitated.
Ken Bell gets the call here. One of the things that I think we should keep in mind, or actually a couple of things, Boston College will be keen on the tight end when the strong safety. When the strong safety is over the tight end, they're looking for man-to-man coverage. When he lines up on the hash marks, they're looking for a two-deep zone coverage, and with that, Halloran will try and create his offense. Terrell Austin, they're coming in with a 5-back secondary. Kelvin Martin is out. 2nd down 6, pick up a 4 in the 1st down. And a penalty flag, or 2, or 3, or 4 are thrown. They've caught it in the field. Bill Sapio might have been offside. Front line interior. Gregory is in. Waddle is in for Boston College. Still no Darren Flutie with that bad ankle. Long count from the 31. And Boston College, Jim Bell. They're 2 for 4 in 3rd down conversions with a 5-back set defensively for Pitt. Wide receivers left and right. Halloran. Shawn to run. And complete to Tom Waddle at the 47-yard line. Johnny Lewis, right corner. And a big play, so the third down conversion for BC so far. And Kyle, we should point out that twice last week Halloran went beyond the line of scrimmage on his passing.
And that's something that you only gain with experience. Here, Halloran again flushed out of the pocket, moves up near the line of scrimmage. This time is able to get the ball to the outside. And Tom Waddle makes the 1st down for Boston College. They're now at the 47.
1st and 10, Boston College. 5-back set. In motion goes Jim Bell. Drop back, quick in. That's the big tight end, Scott Gieselman. And that is career catch number 97, Kyle. Averaging 9.5 yards a catch. He's 6'6", 249 pounds, a senior from Western Mass.
Very few people are going to be able to cover Scott Gieselman one-on-one. They sent number 33, Jim Bell, in motion to try to get the linebackers to drop off so that space would open up and allow Halloran to get the ball into Gieselman.
4 for 6 Halloran now for 59 yards. 5-back set again, 2nd and 2. Flutie's in the game. Ken Bell on the give. Tries to curl to the outside. Quentin Jones on the tackle. And he will not get the 1st down here.
Darren Flutie, excuse me, Eddie, came in here with a bad left ankle from the game last week. He's the one that missed the block on Quentin Jones that prevented BC from getting a 1st down. So it will be 3rd and just a few inches.
3rd down, less than a yard. Terrell Austin coming out of the Pitt defensive alignment. 2:31, if you just joined us, a 20. There's your 1st down and more. And inside the 35, close to the 32, Tony Woods, the tackler on Jim Bell, the sophomore state sprint champion in ski, and Kelvin Martin are stretched right and left with Ken Bell and Jim Bell, the running backs. Shawn Halloran. And out of bounds. Incompleted pass, 2nd down and 10. It was intended for Kelvin Martin. He was closest in the vicinity.
One of the indications of the differences between the Halloran years now and the Doug Flutie years is that BC has already used 2 timeouts. Of course, each team has 3.5, and Boston College in past years would have done anything to have avoided using timeouts this early in the game so that they could give Doug the help in the last 2-minute drill of the 1st half and at the end of the game. But here they felt with Halloran they need to take the timeouts to make sure they get the 1st downs, and that's one of the subtle differences, but a very important one.
Dennis Attia out, Lorenzo Freeman in at the nose guard for Pitt. That's the give to Kenny Bell. Pretty good running fullback, not a real good blocker. Bill Sapio, a defensive end. Tony Woods was there. Number 76 is Lorenzo Freeman. 3rd down and 8, not moving very well against a Pitt front that only averages 57 yards to the opposition per game. Peter Casparillo is into the tight end now, and Scott Gieselman is out of there for Boston College. Remember, Pitt's secondary gives up 322 yards a game to the pass. Halloran will test it right now. Lots of time. He throws under the coverage and down to the 25-yard line, so a 5-yard pickup, and it'll be a 4th down situation. Lavinia, the linebacker, and Bill Callahan, the strong safety, tackling Peter Casparillo.
Smart defensive play by the linebackers as they drop off just to the point of about where the 1st down is. Taking a look inside at Apke and Lavinia. The pass will be completed, but Casparillo is unable to move up the field towards the first down marker.
4th down and 3 from the 25-yard line. David Rooney is in the hole, and it'll be David or Waddle. No! It'll shuffle, and they're ready for it. Pitt was ready for that one. And a terrific play by Steve Apke and Quentin Jones. They saw it all the way as Tom Waddle, a freshman from Cincinnati Moeller, was in the hold, and he just took the snap and flipped it, and going nowhere that time with the ball, Boston College. And so Pitt takes over as Ken Bell could not get what he had to get done. 3-0 Pitt, 39 seconds in the quarter. And it's Pitt ball, 1st and 10 on the 28-yard line. Conjemi, Darnell Stone, and Brian Davis, the brilliant young freshman running back and a true freshman, highly recruited. They give it to Stone. And there's Darnell Stone. Now, Davis out, Anthony Brown comes in.
Replay on the shovel pass that we have here. Bell moves up inside. David Rooney trying to get a block, but he's not going to be able to hold out the Pitt defense. They just got good penetration on the attempted field goal, and I think
on the 28-yard line. Conjemi, Darnell Stone, and Brian Davis, the brilliant young freshman running back and a true freshman, highly recruited. They give it to Stone. And there's Darnell Stone. Now, Davis out, Anthony Brown comes in.
Replay on the shovel pass that we have here. Bell moves up inside. David Rooney trying to get a block, but he's not going to be able to hold out the Pitt defense. They just got good penetration on the attempted field goal, and I think would perhaps have blocked it had they kicked it anyway.
2nd down and 10. Darnell Stone and Anthony Brown are the running backs. 3 seconds in the quarter. Conjemi on a 2nd down to pass. Conjemi with a flag thrown and slides over the 30 to the 32. He gets maybe 4. And that'll end the first quarter on a penalty note. So John Conjemi, tackled by Bill Thompson and John Boza. Stone and Brown are the running backs. Ball spotted on the 18-yard line. They mark it back from the original line of scrimmage, which was the 28. 3-0 Pitt. Coach Fazio pacing up and down on the near side. The 4th-year coach of the Pitt Panthers. All right, they're ready to go.
Yeah, generally, if it's the offense committing the penalty, you don't get the extra time. I'm a little bit surprised by that. But
Anthony Brown was the running back. He had a knee injury last year, but he gained over 4,000 yards in high school. He gets a few there. That's the quarter. 3-0 Pitt. We'll be right back. Event, Pitt has the ball. It's 3rd down and 15. Ball on the 23-yard line. Conjemi, and deflected over here by Rory Perriman, intended. Well, they declined, Kyle, and that would have been the 4th penalty had they taken it. So what we have now is Bill Rudison, a freshman kicker, who's averaging about 36 yards a kick. And back in safety position, ready to receive the ball, here's Kelvin Martin. Martin at his own 35. Good kick by the freshman. Nice, pure spiral. Fielded at the 29. Back to the 40. To the 50. And Martin inside the 45 of Pitt. He's explosive, and the tackle was made by the kicker. Kelvin Martin, averaging 12.6 yards, a punt return, gets a beauty away, and we will have Boston in possession of the ball with a 3-0 Pitt lead when we return.
Guy spends $50 or $60 tuning up his car himself. Then he comes in here and says, "It's 3-0 Pitt." We'll be right back.
3-0 Pitt. 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 3-0 Watch Kelvin Martin, one of the best at punt returns.
Real deep threat on the wide receiver placement, but also in the punt return. He scored 2 touchdowns last year, one against Army. I think the second was against Syracuse. He had a real long one, 78, 80 yards on that one. Nice form tackle by Bill Rubison.
That was a 35-yard return. Martin with 2 punt returns, a total of 50 yards. 4 defensive backs in there right now for Pitt. And out of the I formation come the BC Eagles. That's Jim Bell. As he tries the left side, Dennis Attia of the nose guard on the tackle, but he comes up behind blocks by Goetzke, Twombly, and Sean Regent.
Take a look at the sidelines. Jimmy getting the ankle taped. He's got bad ribs. It was last year, unfortunately, an ankle that hindered him much of the season. But we got another flag on the field. Be against Boston College.
Now, too many penalties already, and we saw this last week. It's hot, and of course, patience is not what it should be, and thus we've not had a pure game so far.
Illegal motion on the offense. First down.
Thank you, Joe. First down, 15 is what we have coming up. Ball on the 48-yard line. 3-0 Pitt. Terrell Austin is in as a nickelback. They have 5 backs, and they drop Troy Washington deep as they give to Jim Bell, and he goes nowhere as he slips over the 50, inside the 50. And Steve Apke, who had 19 tackles against Purdue and 18 against Ohio State, made the hit right there.
Defensive secondary of Pitt really trying to feint what they're doing, trying to get Shawn Halloran to audible at the line of scrimmage and throw the ball into double coverage. Can't really see it with the size of our picture, but in the backfield, they're really coming up trying to give Halloran a lot of false looks.
Second down and 16. Halloran with a good fake. Coming up is Giaquinto. Well, he did a nice job there. Went to the 30 and then came back to the ball before Quentin Jones and Terrell Austin made the stop for a first down.
One of the successes in this Boston College passing offense is how well most of the routes are being run, and Giaquinto does it perfectly as he drives the cornerback back deep, and when he comes back, instead of squaring it off with about a 90-degree angle, makes it a much more acute angle, which means he is coming back towards the ball, and it means the secondary man has much further to come for the attempted interception.
Giaquinto, a 5'11", 190-pound senior who's an excellent baseball player. Jim Turner went out. Ken Bell back as the fullback, and Jim Bell in motion to the left side. Halloran underneath, and there's Gieselman. Oh, he's getting closer and closer to career catch number 100. Unofficially, that's number 98. It's Bill Callahan, who is right there. Gieselman is a pro prospect. Down goes to Kelvin Martin.
Direction. What he's really trying to do, though, is clear out the middle with the linebackers for the tight end. I don't know if they're ever going to throw it at Jim Bell. Here's Gieselman on the little loop, and on the defensive category, it's Tony Woods, number 90, who finds himself in no man's land on the short pass.
It's Kelvin Martin and Waddle doubling up on the wide side left. No one out here on the right side. They've got Gieselman on the line to block over the middle.
Touchdown!
And a touchdown goes to Kelvin Martin. Oh, what a sweet play Boston College just ran. Kelvin Martin with a slant in toward the post that time and being congratulated. He got inside of Quentin Jones and Terrell Austin, and the applause by his coach.
He saw the open of our show today. This is the exact same pass that Martin scored on last week against Maryland. Single coverage. The doubling up isn't able to come over in enough time as Halloran, off his back foot with good arm strength, gets the ball in there into the seam of the zone, and Martin knows precisely where to run and, of course, falls into the end zone.
David Rooney. And it's good, so BC has taken the lead as they go 4 plays, 49 yards, and they do it in a minute and 53. And right now it's BC 7, Pitt 3 on the USA Network.
Mobil 1 synthetic motor oil. The technology behind it gives this driver engine protection he can depend on. And this driver. And this driver. And this driver. Mobil synthetic oil technology. There's no finer engine protection on Earth. or anywhere else.
Time out. Listen up, sports fans. This is important. Tri-State Trophies has moved from West Franklin Street to a brand new store at Columbia and Fulton. Of course, they're still at Woodland Center on the east side. Now that's some play. East side at Woodland Center, and now another new store at Columbia and Fulton. For the best selection of plaques and trophies around, it's Tri-State Trophies. Play ball. Tri-State Trophies, Woodland Center, and now at Columbia and Fulton.
We're back at Pitt Stadium, and Boston College now on the board. The score 7-3, 12:47 left in the first half. Very concerned defense. That's Bob Junko, the defensive linebacker coach. Foge Fazio, grain of hair. Imagine he has a lot more gray hair this year than he did 2 years ago before that 3-7-1 season last year.
There's your scoring summary. 4 plays, 43 yards in 153, and that's the 18-yard pass from Halloran to Martin. They hooked up twice last week and almost 2 more times, so were called back. So that is his favorite receiver. And standing back deep now is Keith Tinsley. Tinsley with Darnell Stone and Anthony Brown, but Tinsley's the man in the middle, and he is a good one. He has 2 kickoff returns for 43 yards average. Watch him. He's got it. Not this time. He's really tripped up right there by David Shook. Not by David Shook, but by Kevin Sullivan, who's a strong safety.
Shook up by Kevin Sullivan.
No, David Shook. If he got shook up by Shook, he'd be getting shook up by his own man. All right, let's see what they can do. 7-3 Boston College with 12:42 to play here in the first half. Tom Brown and Charles Gladman. Tom Brown, 225 pounds, a junior. Gladman, 205, a sophomore. Matt Stennett in motion. Pitch back, Gladman. And still going over the 20. He hurdled the crowd that time. Gaffney, one of the linebackers, was there. As Boston College having to get some help from the men outside the rush.
Excuse me, Eddie, that is really the bread and butter running play for Pitt. It's to the weak side. They send a man in motion and run the off tackle to the tailback to the weak side.
Carl, you just saw right there Callahan getting a call from the press box on how to read that coverage that Boston College has just scored on. He is the strong safety. Gladman. And at the 35-yard line, pulled down by Rory Perriman, a converted quarterback who has really got some very fine athletic skills. So a first down and 10 for Pitt.
Here it is. He can go off tackle, breaks it back the other way, breaking to daylight. And here's Perryman, who's got tremendous size and speed. Perryman, 221 pounds. Not too many folks going to outrace him.
That is the 5th first down for Pitt this afternoon. 2 rushing, 2 passing, and 1 on a penalty. First and 10, ball at the 35. Pitt trails at 7-3. Matt Stennett in motion. Conjemi from Florida to pass. Lets it go. Scales is there, and he overleads him by 2 yards. He had his man beat, and his man was Garrick McPherson. And Chuck Scales, who can fly as well as play a pretty mean piano and do a pretty good job as a pre-med student, was there, but Conjemi could not hit him.
Taking a look at the statistics for John Conjemi. Only has a few more yards to go, yards that he should get in this ball game to move into that higher level. The all-time passing yardage. He has no chance to catch Dan Marino. I don't think anybody does, Eddie.
2nd and 10. I doubt that that'll happen. I really do. Conjemi is 3 of 7 for 36. Play action. And they tried to turn Stewart in and find a seam, but the pass was not there. And Conjemi's passing right now, not where it ought to be. 7-3. Boston College leading Pitt. Conjemi has been intercepted 3 times this year. But he's also had 3 touchdown passes. Dwayne Malloy and Matt Stennett are in for Pitt.
Give you an idea of how far Dan Marino is ahead of everyone else. Congemi is right around 3,300 yards. Marino has 8,500 yards.
11:55 to play here in the half. 7-3 Boston College. Congemi wants to go again to the air. Good rush. And pull down.
Guess who?
You got it. The man with the hammers hanging from the body there. Those two big anvils that hang off the shoulders. Mike Ruth.
Take a look at Mike Ruth over the center. He's double-teamed, which is nothing unusual. Ruth continues to fight to the outside, and he's kind of the delay man. He's still playing off 2 blocks, uses that good lateral speed, is able to come through and make the tackle.
Bill Rudison on a 4th down and 13 to punt. He's got 1 kick for 49 yards. Kelvin Martin at his 25-yard line, looking into a glaring sun. It's a hazy sort of a glare. Shades himself, and he'll down it right there on a fair catch at the 16-yard line.
Well, I'm sure he was told to fair catch that one. Boston College went for the block. They got very close. And we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more Pitt Boston College after this.
This Jeep Cherokee has some amazing things going for it. Room for 5 adults or 71 cubic feet of cargo. Doors, your choice of 2 or 4. Drive, 2 or 4-wheel shift on the fly. Power from a torquey 2.5-liter engine. But most important, this Cherokee is all Jeep. Body and soul.
There's a hurricane watch in Foxborough, Massachusetts. The hurricane is composed of a double-barreled explosive backfield, a swirling aerial attack, and a cold defensive front. In Boston, they're not evacuating. They're ready to soar through the hurricane. The forecast? Stormy skies, turbulent air, and substantial ground destruction. Good visibility on USA Sports. The Miami Hurricanes meet the Boston College Eagles live next Saturday.
We're at Pitt today. Next week, back at Boston College. In fact, in Foxborough. And it'll be BC and Miami. And I don't know if it's going to be anything like what they had last year. Without Doug Flutie, it might be a little different, but it should be good. It's 7-3 here. We have 11:09 to play in the half. Boston College scoring on a touchdown pass, 18 yards, to Kelvin Martin from Halloran after Pitt kicked the field goal at 23 yards with 5:47 in the first quarter. Halloran. And he has got his man. Another completion. Kelvin Martin again. Oh, boy. And that time he beat the right corner, John Lewis, a 5'10", 180-pound senior.
John Lewis has got to respect his speed deep. He moves to the inside, gets his legs turned the other way, then breaks it to the outside. And John Lewis does what every cornerback should never do, and that is turn his back to the quarterback. But it was primarily because Kelvin Martin ran a great pattern and got him to sidestep inside.
First down and 10. Martin averaging over 15 yards a catch coming into this one today. 11:02 to play. 7-3 BC. Halloran again. Martin again. 35. And they are exciting the game as Quentin Jones made the stop.
What a good indication for Shawn Halloran, and that's why they're going to celebrate with him, because Kelvin Martin was the 3rd receiver on this pattern. They were setting up the tight end pass again to Gieselman or Casparillo. They had also Bell out in the flat as kind of the secondary receiver, and Kelvin Martin, though, was able to find himself in some space, and a good throw by Halloran.
John Murphy goes out. Tom Waddle comes in for BC. Murphy has Martin now 3 catches for 63 yards. They take the tight end and switch him over to the left side. Good block right there by Ken Bell. And throwing the ball out of bounds at the 22-yard line was Shawn Halloran. Well, what a rush that time by Pitt.
Excuse me, Eddie. For sure, Shawn Halloran was throwing that away. He's going to, of course, claim that he and Kelvin Martin didn't read the defense together the way they should, and he threw the ball to the outside. Martin broke to the inside to the post rather than to the flag, and that's why the pass is to nobody.
Second down and 10. Ball on the 34-yard line. Second down and 10. Waddle is stretched out to the far side. In motion outside of him is Chuck Gregory. Ken Bell the block. Good rush by Pitt. And complete. Gieselman, 15, runs over a man at the 10 and down to the 8-yard line. Steve Apke from Cincinnati, Ohio, had to get over there and help the free safety Troy Washington. But watch this Gieselman.
Take a look again. The looping move, moves towards the secondary, turns for the turnaround, and like every good receiver does, when he doesn't get the ball with his first break, continues to move to find space. Halloran is able to find him. He double tucks the ball inside to prevent the fumble, and they're down inside the 10.
Halloran 11 for 15 unofficially, 188 yards. Here's hot today. First down, ball on the 8-yard line. In motion, Martin. Give it back to Bell. That's Jim Bell. Slides outside. Going to the flag. He's got it. A 2-yard plunge when he saw that pylon, and Jimmy Bell with some good outside blocking, rolling to the left side, and BC's on the board again.
Well, Bell had half the Eagle team out in front of him. He sets up the blocks, though, by the stun inside, then uses that sprinter speed to get outside, reads one more block, and able to move into the end zone, gets just inside the pylon, and Jim Bell goes about 40 yards to get a 2-yard touchdown, but it was worth it.
Waddle to hold, Rooney to kick, an 8-yard run. In the air, Boston College 14, Pitt 3. We have 9:53 to play here in the first half. And a surprise. Go away. We'll be right back.
Test pilot Chuck Yeager for AC Delco.
Up here, power when you need it can save your neck. When you get back down to your car, it helps too. Today's smaller engines need extra firepower from a spark plug, and AC delivers. If you could look inside your engine, you'd see an AC spark plug delivering up to 30,000 volts, firing 30 times a second. Firepower when you need it from AC.
Call 800 AC Delco for a retailer near you.
Never wait for trouble.
Oh, no.
If weight control has had more gain in your life than loss, it's time to call Physicians Weight Loss Center. Our fully trained medical staff will introduce you to a safe program which trims pounds off for life. And we guarantee 3 to 7 pounds off per week in writing. All of this available on a low-cal budget, and we'll pay your medical fees. That's right, the medical fees are on us and guaranteed. So call today to reduce a sizable problem.
Great.
Physicians Weight Loss Center.
We are back at Pitt Stadium, and a stunned crowd sits as Boston College goes to a 14-3 lead. That tower on the left, incidentally, is the highest tower of learning in the nation. That is a classroom building. Students go to class in that building, and it's, as I said, I don't know how many stories it is.
42.
Yeah, but it's great. This is a terrific school, known for their medical research. A lot of liver transplants are done here. Of course, the Salk Foundation, part of the campus scene here at the University of Pittsburgh. Very rich in tradition, and thus a celebration of tradition. That's the theme this year. Keith Tinsley wants to celebrate right now. He's standing back. David Rooney will kick. It's Tinsley along with Anthony Brown and Darnell Stone, but Tinsley's the man in the middle. 9:53 and a half. Here we go. And again, Tinsley plants his foot at the 1. Back to the 15, knifes to the 20, and down right there. Willie Hislop was in to make the tackle. He's a reserve running back. Brian Davis is coming in now. There's the freshman running back we talked about. Now, Kyle, he's...
So the ball be moved back another 5 yards.
All right, we're going to bring him back. And Boston College will kick it again. So they'll try it from the 35, and we'll have to wait to tell you about Brian Davis. I'm anxious to see him. They had a tremendous recruiting year here at Pitt, and Davis is right at the top of the blue-chip talent. David Rooney, he's a freshman from Miramar, Florida, and he is the man, after a lot of quibbling and trying to figure out what they were going to do, has been given the kicking job for the remainder of the year.
Well, that's important because they decided to live or die with one person, and that's going to take some pressure off of them.
From the 3, Tinsley to the 20, 25. He's a big play guy. He breaks it to the 35 and out to the 39-yard line. Willie Hislop, who is playing with a pull muscle in the lower back, but he is brought down. Tinsley trying to pump him up.
He's trying to say, guys, I can't do it in the offense. You're going to have to do it. And he makes the run, breaks through. Hislop comes from the far side. There he is, 25 from the left side. Was able to knock him down, but he picked up a great gain. Good field position. Now for Pitt, their best field position on a possession.
Anthony Brown is injured. He comes out of there. Brian Davis is in along with Ezekiel Gadsden. So the young man from, get this one, Frogmire, South Carolina, 6'1", 215, Ezekiel Gadsden, with Brian Davis, the freshman from Washington, PA, the running back tandem.
That's A.B. Brown there you're looking at.
In motion comes Chuck Scales. We told you Brown was hurt. And there he is. And the crowd wanting to see this young man they've heard so much about. Bill Romanowski, brilliant running back, and they're checking out Anthony Brown's shin.
You're looking there, you're looking for ligaments, perhaps a hyperextension, looking at the patella there. Covers the knee.
Pickup of 3 by young Brian Davis. 2nd down and 7. Ball at the 42. Davis again. He gets a second breath, and he moves it over the 45-yard line. I don't know how he broke himself loose. John Boza made the tackle, but boy, he got nailed about 4 yards after he got the ball, and then still managed to get some extra yards.
And the extra yardage is what got him to the first down.
1st down and 10. He needed 7 yards. He got it. Matt Stennett is in. Chuck Scales is out for Pitt. Stennett, 6 feet, 181. Scales, 5'11", 195. Scales stretches out right. Down to the near side comes number 24. Now they've got Stennett in motion. He's still in there. 4-back coverage. Pressbane covers Scales. And a flag thrown on the play as a direct give, and up over the middle they go with Nickerson tackling Brian Davis. Oh, he has looked impressive in 3 carries so far. Rick Nickerson, outside backer. And a procedure call against the University of Pittsburgh.
It's not that much of a surprise to see Davis in the ball game, not only because he's got a tremendous amount of potential, but in the game last week against Ohio State, quite often they rotated their backfields. They've got 2 good sets of fullbacks, at least 2 tailbacks that are outstanding, if not more. Take a listen.
Procedure, 6 men on the line of scrimmage. 1st down.
1 man shy, huh?
So Randy Dixon.
Yeah. Randy think he was going to run the ball?
I don't know what he was doing.
Pitt with 4 penalties for 30 yards. Scales in motion. 1st and 15. Ball on the 44. Oh, what a catch! What a catch by Michael Stewart. Sophomore from Norwich, Connecticut. Last year, broken collarbone. This year, plenty healthy.
Boy, is that a surprise.
Yes, sir.
Memphis State hasn't lost yet, but they've played so poorly in 2 ball games.
Indiana, they say they're ready to play in 85. Had a win last week over Louisville. 2nd down 4. Ball on the 45-yard line. In motion this time goes Dwayne Malloy for the first time. Brian Davis. Davis inside the 40 to the 38. Bill Romanowski was in.
Got another flag, though.
Kyle Creshpain also flag thrown. Kyle, I can see a little bit why now, as we a holding call against Pitt, penalty number 5 for a total of 40 yards.
Take a look at Bill Romanowski. Moves inside, covers the hole, then moves to the outside with the lateral ability, comes across, makes the tackle, but we did have a holding call against number 84, Clint Wilson, for Pitt. Kind of nice in college. They don't tell you what number it was, but it was pretty clear that it was Clint Wilson, number 84.
You know, with a 3rd down and 15, I can see why now that Brian Davis had 4,478 yards in his high school career. Boy, he's terrific. All right, 2nd down and 15. And Jimmy to throw. taken away by Neil Eiten. He has one interception so far. Not very big, 5'9", 185 pounds, a senior.
Jimmy is one of few passers who's able to roll to his left and throw the ball quite well. The pattern is read by Eiten. He's got a little bit of help deep so he can make the break early, and was there. He would have had 6 had he been able to hold on to it.
3rd down, 14. There's Neil Eiten, the senior cornerback. Stewart comes out of there. Chucky Scales to the near side. On the far side is Matt Sennett. Running backs are Gadsden and Brian Davis, a sophomore and a freshman. And Jimmy on a long count. Good. To the 45-yard line, to the tight end Clint Wilson, and Rory Perriman pulls him down. Ball is spotted at the 44 now.
Still not enough for the first down.
3 yards is what they need.
So Bill Rudison will come in to punt. And Jimmy comes off the field, got the ball to the tight end, had single coverage on his wide receiver, but he was covered well. So Jimmy did what he had to do, got it to the open man, but it wasn't enough.
Kelvin Martin will get back to receive Rudison's kick. He's averaging about 51 yards a kick today, and he'll boom this one to the end zone. Well, Rudison has done an outstanding job with a very slight wind behind him. And that means that Boston College will take over. 14-3, Boston College over Pitt with 7:04 to play here in the first half. At halftime today, we're going to take a look at tradition at the University of Pittsburgh. We'll have our Wall Street Journal weekend memo and our first half highlights and statistics. And it's all coming up at halftime today. Now, the word is we have a slight sprain. A slight sprain of the knee for Anthony Brown. So Dr. Rote, you were right. They were checking that knee out. As we look into Pitt Stadium, it seats 55 or 56,000 and change, about 56.5. Last year, they only averaged 38 in that 3-7-1 season, but the year before that, they averaged 52,000. And over the years, they've had some magnificent players, and today they're honoring Tony Dorsett by giving away replicas of his jersey.
And I noticed that you were the first person in line. You've got 2 number 33s in blue and gold to be taken back to California.
Got to take care of Brett and Corey. 14-3 is what we have. We have 7:04, as I mentioned. Boston College coming back after Pitt struck early at 5:47 of the first quarter on a 23-yard field goal by Mark Brasco. And then BC comes back on a scoring strike, an 18-yarder to Kelvin Martin, and then an 8-yard run by Jimmy Bell.
Talked about some of the disappointment last year. One of the things that Fazio did this year was he fired 5 assistants. He's got 5 new assistant coaches. But Jimmy really controls, I think, the destiny of Fazio. If he has a good year, so will the Panthers, and so will Fazio.
Shawn Halloran now at the throttle. Kenny Bell back there, and he'll give it a Bell. That readout screen. Up to the 30. To the 35, to the 37 or 8-yard line. Whoa. And a little extra mileage right there. Dennis Atiyah is there on the talk along with Bill Stapio.
Well, what Kenny Bell does so well here is he sets up his blocks. He does make a nice reception, but watch the setup, moves to the inside, then comes to the outside, really takes the defense out of the play, spins and gets some extra yardage, but he picked up about another 10 because of that. Unfortunately, that will all come back because we did have a penalty against Boston College.
What is it?
Holding. Offense. First down.
Tell you what, he's going to have surgery on his elbow. He's given the holding call so many times today.
Well, they have 4 for 25 yards. Pitt has 5 for 40. Terrell Austin is in the ball game. Give it to Jim Bell, and he's running well. Over the 20, out to the 24-yard line. Jim Bell, and he is filling for Troy Stratford, who is out again this week. Troy Washington, the freshman free safety, is there to make the hit. Jack Bicknell flashing signs out to his quarterback. 2nd down and 7, as they have just about obliterated the penalty, and now are working on that first down. Vincent Munn has as we look here at number 33, Ken Bell, or Jim Bell. And Jimmy Bell gets himself a little running room.
A lot of players, Eddie, that are sprinters, and as you mentioned several times, Bell, the 200-meter high school champion in Connecticut, sprinters don't have that juking ability. That's one nice thing about Jimmy Bell. He's not only has the out-and-out speed when he gets out in the open in the secondary, but he's got the ability to feint and to get the extra yardage that way, too.
All right, now Jimmy Bell has 8 carries for 46 yards. So doing a nice job filling for the injured Troy Stratford. 11 of 15, 188. Good day for Shawn Halloran. Walter Johnson has replaced Terrell Austin, and they're out of the nickelback set and up to the 30-yard line. They needed 3. The ball was on the 27. It'll be very close to a first down, and they'll have to measure. Bill Sapio, a defensive end who missed last week with a sprained ankle.
They need to get Jim Bell out of there. There he goes, number 33, because he's carried the ball the last 3 times. Bicknell saw that. They're going to get a fresh running back in there.
Serafino Fazio. And we have a first down and 10. Brian Shields has replaced Matt Lavinia at one of the linebacker spots for Pitt. That defense has been on the field a while. Shawn Halloran under a rush. And that read screen again, Ken Bell. And to the 31 and no more. Well, that's one of Boston College's favorite ploys, and you'll see it a lot, Kyle, that read screen.
Try to use the passing game today in modern college football, more of a controlled passing game than always throwing deep. And using a lot of receivers. The favorite receivers really for most schools today are the tight ends and the running backs, the tailbacks coming out of the backfield.
Walter Johnson comes out for Pitt. John Carter comes in. It's a second down and 5. I didn't think he got that many. I don't think that's right, is it? Second down and 9. That's what it is. As they go close to the 40 to Tom Waddle. He's another from Cincinnati Moeller. That school down there in Cincinnati with such a tremendous high school tradition. Brian Shields, linebacker, and Bill Callahan, the strong safety on the tackle.
Halloran clapping because his team got another first down again just by inches. But they've been able to drive every time they've had the ball. The Pitt defense has not done the job. True, Boston College missed a field goal. Yes, they missed on the fake field goal. They scored 2 touchdowns, but all 4 drives up to this point, they've been able to move the ball well against the Pitt defense.
A shift to the eye with Ken Bell up and Jim Bell, the tailback. Halloran. And he came back without the ball. And another flag. Halloran is 14 for 18 for 202 yards unofficially. And again, another penalty. Boston College 14, Pitt 3.
Well, the receivers and Halloran thought the count was one thing, and all the linemen thought it was something else.
Illegal procedure on the offense. First down.
First down, 15. 5 defensive backs are in for Pitt. Make it 6. Brian Shields has come out. Billy Owens has come in. He's the sometimes running back. Halloran. Behind, good blocking. And not quite to the 50, or just about to the 50, as Kelvin Martin run out of bounds by Tinsley, and he ran a nice pattern.
Well, really good play conceptually. It's known as a moving pocket. Halloran drops back. It looks like a drop back, but he's getting blocking to the outside to allow him to run towards Martin and make the pass. And again, Martin with a nice comeback route to the sideline, and that's a pass that's very difficult to intercept.
Walter Johnson checks into the defensive tackle. Out comes Billy Owens. Terrell Austin is out for Pitt. A second down and 1. Flutie is in the ball game for Boston College. Martin has 82 yards, 4 catches, and a touchdown so far. Complete and down to the 45-yard line. Jim Bell, Apke, and Brian Shields, bookend linebackers, come over to make the stop. And Boston College mixing up their offense very nicely and chewing up some yardage.
Driving that man to the right of your screen crazy, Coach Fazio, as 4 receivers went out that time, and Halloran continues to gain experience and be able to read that defense better and better. He continues to hit the open man. Today is really his day.
Giaquinto in motion. Terrell Austin comes in. Out comes Walter Johnson for the Pitt Panther defense. First and 10 at the 45-yard line. Little misdirection right there as they go to, I believe it was Tracy Giles, or was that Jimmy Bell? Tracy Giles got the call, and John Carter on the tackle. Number 89, watch it.
Take a look at the defensive line playing the blocking up front. 58 was Gowetzky, and he's able to put a man down on the ground.
They got a nice little help in there by Dennis Attia, who made the initial hit. 2nd down 8, ball on the 43. Second quarter, and ticking down to 2:30 to play here in the half. 14-3 BC. To the 35-yard line. It'll take more to bring that big guy down, more than one, that is. And that's right, Callahan with Apke and Johnny Lewis pulling down Big Scott Gieselman, who has 9 career touchdowns and is a horse.
Halloran throws all the wide outs to the wide side of the field, comes back with Gieselman, and Gieselman with his size, 6'6", about 250, is going to out-jump most people. So all Halloran has to do is loft it out there, and at least it will not be intercepted because Gieselman will be able to play the ball much like a center fielder would.
Sapio and Owens have come out of there, and in comes Brian Shields and Tony Woods for Pitt on their defensive alignment. Measurement, 1st and 10, Boston College. Ball on the 35-yard line. BC picking up those first downs.
The indigestion is on the other side of the field. It's not for Big Bell.
They have 13 first downs and 11 by passing. Sean Dombrowski and Gieselman switch sides. They jump back to the I formation. 1st and 10 at the 35-yard line. Jimmy Bell. And Big Tony Woods hauled him down. And a touchdown. And a lead. 2nd and 7. And at the 27-yard line, and another flag thrown. Something may have been involving Apke or Gieselman or Jim Bell. They were all around the ball. We'll have to wait to see what it is. Dennis Attia talking to the official. Keith Tinsley was involved in that play. Got to turn that mic on, huh?
Yeah. A little pushing by one of the Boston College receivers in the pattern.
Bill Sapio replaces Dennis Attia. Yeah, it's a big one. And the penalties continue to hurt both teams.
Pass interference on the offense. Loss of down. 3rd down.
That one really hurt because, as he said, lost it down. Offensive pass interference.
And the distance. There's the little pushing right there by Gieselman. And the ball now all the way back on the 47.
3rd down, 32. They've had success on 3rd down conversions, though. Shawn Halloran, and Kelvin Martin has made a beautiful catch. Under pressure by the rookie free safety, Troy Washington.
This is why the Boston College offense, Halloran's having a great day. Don't mistake that. But the way they set up the passing game, it allows Halloran to sprint out behind the tackle. He moves out, now has the passing lane totally open, can see Martin all the way. Makes a nice toss, and of course Martin with a tremendous catch.
And Halloran is cooking on those 3rd down conversions. He's 5 for 9. Martin 5 catches now for 111 yards. 14-3, 1st and 10 on the 18-yard line. Good penetration by Pitt defensively. And that is Walter Johnson. Big Walter, 6'2½", 250 from Pahokee, Florida.
Take a look for Johnson. He'll be number 59. There he is, 2nd in 1984 in sacks. Fights off the block, comes in, and Halloran knocked down for the first time. Pitt, with the blitz, for the first time was able to get to Halloran.
How about that for a hometown, huh? Pahokee, 31 seconds to play in the half. And we have a timeout called by Boston College. Jack Bicknell going to think it over. The band is getting ready, and USA is on location again today. Timeout. Boston College 14, Pitt 3, 31 seconds to play in the half. Boy, these kids practice harder than the football players. They were out here until about 11 last night and in here at 7 this morning.
That tells you how long we were here, too.
Well, we don't want to talk about that. 14-3, Boston College, with 31 seconds to play in the first half. Eddie Doucette and Kyle Rote Jr. Incidentally, Boston College's last win over Pitt came on October 23rd, 1971, and that was a 40-22 ball game. The last and only win here at Pitt Stadium, 21-6, November 4th, 1970. So Halloran figures his team's way overdue.
Talk about this stadium. Sports Illustrated said earlier in their preseason bit that this was the second worst stadium in college football. Not a very nice distinction. Nebraska, of course, first, but they've sold out something like 140 consecutive games out in Cornhusker land, so apparently the fans don't mind it.
On the delay, Tracy Giles. Steve Apke, the linebacker, on the hit. Clock ticking away. We're under 20 seconds, down to 17.
Let's take a look at Steve Apke, number 50, as he comes up. They're rushing into lanes, and Apke is there. Moved in from defensive end, where he was a 2-year letterman, and now really feeling very comfortable at the linebacker spot.
Another flag, down to 3 seconds. What do we have there, Kyle? Motion?
Legal, yeah, motion.
Boy, lots of penalties.
Illegal shift. The offense did not set for 1 second. Third down.
So now we're going to have a 53-yard field goal attempt, or we think we will. Remember, BC had the fake field goal from around 32 yards out earlier. Tom Waddle will hold, number 20. David Rooney, number 3, on the kick.
14-3, BC leading. Nowhere.
That can be run back.
And pitch John Lewis is just going to kick it out of bounds. Rooney got a pretty good rush that time by Carroll Austin. And that is going to end the first half. At halftime today, we'll take a look at the tradition of Pittsburgh, our Wall Street Journal weekend memo, and our first half highlights.
The Panthers search for a new rallying point, a theme that would capture the imagination of their fans and give
Pennsylvania. The University of Pittsburgh has brought pride to the classroom as well as the gridiron. Let's take a look at the tradition as one of the Keystone State's fine institutions.
The joy that is so much a part of the pageantry of college football was missing for much of 1984 at the University of Pittsburgh. And after the disappointment, the Panthers searched for a new rallying point, a theme that would capture the imagination of their fans and give this year's team a source of confidence. This background provided the inspiration for a celebration of tradition, the theme for 1985, which recognizes the outstanding football heritage of Pittsburgh.
It does have a great tradition. Of course, I played here, and some of the guys that we've talked about in the tradition are some of my former teammates. And, of course, we're celebrating the fact that 4 of our great athletes, their jerseys have been retired and are all in the NFL. You talk about Tony Dorsett, you talk about Hugh Green, Dan Marino, and Bill Fraley. Each and every one of those guys, I think, reflects on the football that's been played here because of the level and the standards they've set, you know, for the players that have been following them.
8 bowl appearances and a national championship are evidence of Pittsburgh's success on the field the last 10 years. So much of their celebration of tradition focuses on the 4 stellar players of that era. The first was Tony Dorsett. He won the Heisman Trophy in 1976, the same year Pitt won the national championship. His running ability and style have never been duplicated and probably never will. Then came that devastating force on defense, Hugh Green. His jersey was retired in 1970. Next was Dan Marino, who grew up in the shadow of Pitt Stadium. He quarterbacked the Panthers to 3 bowl appearances and last year led the Miami Dolphins to the Super Bowl. And finally, there's Bill Fralick. During his 4 years at Pitt, he redefined the role of the offensive lineman in college football. These are the most recent examples of a tradition that has deep meaning for everyone at the University of Pittsburgh.
The celebration of tradition, I think, is great for Pittsburgh because it means a lot to our program, to the school, and as a reminder to all of us that some of the great athletes have come out of here. You can go back to Joe Walton, who's in pro football coaching, Mike Ditka, my former teammate, Marty Schottenheimer, some of the guys that are all in pro football head coaches. And you can go back to other great players, Marshall Goldberg, back in that era, that are doing very well for them in the business world. So we have guys that are doctors, dentists, lawyers, and so forth that have played ball here and have gotten a good education. And that's all part of the Pitt tradition.
There's also been a great coaching legacy at Pitt. The legendary Pop Warner won 3 national championships there in the early 1900s. Then Jock Sutherland followed with a string of championships and All-Americans in the 1930s. In the 1970s, Johnny Majors put Pitt back in the national spotlight. Jackie Sherrill and now Foge Fazio have continued the tradition. Foge has many great memories of Pitt football from his days as a player, then assistant coach, and now head coach.
One of the fondest memories I've had here as a player, the last game that we played here at Pitt Stadium, we played Penn State and beat them. They were headed to a bowl game, and I think we were about 5-4 at that time, and we weren't going anywhere, but we knocked them off and gave us a pretty good, beat them pretty convincingly here at Pitt Stadium, my last game. And it was the week of practice all week was a great feeling, you know, being around the coaches and your teammates, and after the game was a great feeling, and I really liked that. Then, of course, when I was named head coach here, that was a great feeling. It's all the people that I hadn't seen or heard from in a long, long time, former teammates, guys I went to Pitt with, and people that I've coached before all called, and that was a great feeling also. And, of course, winning the first game in 1982 when we beat North Carolina 7-6. Of course, some people thought we should have beat them worse, but it was a great feeling. We won a football game.
As you've seen, lots of tradition here at the University of Pittsburgh. Halftime, Boston College, however, with a 14-3 lead. And we'll be back with more of our special halftime on USA when we return after these words.
He's not a national hero, but every year, thousands of people turn to him for protection. Good man to have on your side. Once you compare Kemper, you'll ride with us.
I'm Howard Bannister, manager of this supermarket. Behind me, you see the people who help make this the smooth-flowing operation that it is. From Murray, the bag boy, to our checkers, Jennifer, Marlene, and Leslie, to Alf, our security guard, and Jack Christian, the assistant manager, to my personal secretary, Edna. They constitute a team whose key words are loyalty, efficiency, and determination. Thank you. That'll be all.
Check it out, starring Don Adams, premiering Wednesday, October 2nd, exclusively on USA.
And we are at halftime here at the University of Pittsburgh with the score, Boston College 14, Pitt 3. Now, while we have a few moments, we're going to send you back to New York. We'll look at the business world, and, of course, that means Bill Roost with the Wall Street Weekend Memo.
Cleanup next.
USA's Crime Busters at 8 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday.
This
is the USA Network.
In the first half. On all 5 have been in scoring position, 3 missed field goals, 2 touchdowns, and really the Pitt defense has not done the job.
Well, we want to take a look at some of the highlights here, Kyle, and give the folks an opportunity to kind of go over what we gave them in the first half. As
the Panther had a lot of confidence because Pitt was a 7-point favorite, and Kangemi backs off, and he found early success over the middle. And we saw in Kangemi not only the ability to run a little bit until his injured ankle, but also the ability to pass. But Kelvin Martin started out the scoring for Boston College as he came back on this punt return, came back 35 yards, and that got Boston College into great field position. Pittsburgh at this point had already scored on a field goal. They were leading 3-0.
But Martin had some first half.
Oh, he did. And then Kelvin Martin again across the middle, and Shawn Halloran finds him, a duplicate of last week. Kangemi backs up, and now we're going to see what Mike Ruth can do for a defense. Kangemi backs up, starts to run, got all the moves in the world, but Mike Ruth comes back with his own speed to equal that of Kangemi. Shawn Halloran, what a first half he has had. And Halloran, one more time, looks out. He finds his tight end, Gieselman. Gieselman moves the ball inside the 10-yard line, and Boston College was barking for another touchdown. They pitch it to Jim Bell from 2 yards out. He makes a 35-yard lateral run, but picks up, more importantly, the 2 that he needed for the touchdown, and Boston College leads it at this point 14-3.
Very impressive so far, Boston College in the first half. And I was kind of interested in watching the way Boston College tried to establish their game today, Kyle, starting out with the run and then literally filling the air with passes.
And they're using so many play control passes, not too many long ones, but when they do throw it long, Kelvin Martin always seems to be there, and he seems to be able to find the seam, and I really have been impressed with what Shawn Halloran has been able to do today.
Every week he seems to get a little bit stronger, and one of the things he mentioned to us yesterday when we were visiting with him was that the pressure of kind of trying to follow in Doug Flutie's footsteps, well, that's awesome. Flutie has been there himself to try and guide the young man through the steps and has been a tremendous reinforcement and kind of a spiritual guidance for him.
I'm sure one of the things that Doug has said is that, Shawn, you can't be me, and that's okay. Just be yourself, because one of the biggest challenges in sports is always to play within your own ability, and Shawn Halloran has not only played within his ability, he's really shown us some new dimensions to it.
All right, here are the first half stats the way we have them for you now. First of all, BC, and you can see not too much action on the ground. First downs, 15-6 BC with an edge. Yards rushing, not fairly even right there. But look at the yards passing. What a difference. 255 to 57. Completions, Halloran having a great day. Kangemi not throwing as much as they would like him to. And the time of possession. Now, here's the thing we talked about, which was so important coming into the game. BC has done the one thing they've wanted to do, try and keep their defense off the field and keep that offense on. They have control of the ball. Penalties have been the one thing that have marred the performance for BC so far.
I think the 2 most important statistics of those that we've looked at, Eddie, one is the turnovers, 0 for Boston College. That has always hurt them. But secondly is the time of possession. To give you an example, last week against Maryland, Maryland held the ball for 35 minutes of that ball game, which kept the BC defense on the field for all 35 minutes. And players like Mike Ruth can't come off. How do you take a quality player like that off the field? They just don't have the depth defensively to be able to stay on the field that long, and so that's why that time of possession is so important.
Quite often when they do get a replacement for Mike Ruth in there, it's usually for one play, and more often than not, his replacement is playing in there at the same time Mike is. They need those 2 big guys up front. All right, halftime, it's 14-3. Boston College, a little bit of a surprise, but the second half, I don't know, maybe Pitt's got a surprise for them. We'll see when we come back on USA.
Once you start listening to a Delco music system, you'll never want to stop. Nothing else sounds quite like Delco because it's specifically designed to match the acoustics of your very own GM truck while it's still on the drawing board. Delco Electronics delivers sound so true you just can't be lured away from it. Delco designed in sound. You'll love it too much to leave it.
Do you know which of these oils gives you the best engine protection under the toughest driving conditions, sub-zero cold or blazing heat? This one, Mobil 1.
a little bit more, and I think he's going to have to. Boston College's past secondary has only one veteran that we talked about at the beginning of the game, and they have not tested that secondary at all. Keith Tinsley is back deep with Darnell Stone and A.B. Brown. I guess Brown's all right. Let me make sure and check that. That's him, yeah. And Tinsley fumbles the ball and then falls on it in the end zone for a touchback, and they'll bring it back out to the 20. Now remember, Boston College has a slight wind at its back, and Pitt will be looking up into a sun. I don't know how much of an effect it'll have, playing on an artificial turf, and it's a little hotter down there than it is up here. 77 degrees at the start of the game with 59% relative humidity. Clint Wilson has come into the tight end with Scales and Stennett the wideouts for Pitt, with Tom Brown, Charlie Gladman, the running backs, along with John Kenjemi. Kenjemi from Fort Lauderdale, or Lauderdale Lakes, originally from Youngstown, Ohio. That's Scales in motion. Gladman to the 30. Spins and over the 35 to the 40. And to the 42-yard line. Carl Pelagata, Tom Degnan. But Pelagata was the guy that finally spun him around, and it's Mike Degnan, who was there in case he got away. Michael Stewart has come in for Matt Stennett now. So Stewart 6'4", for Stennett, who's 6 feet even.
Well, as you would expect after, I'm sure, that halftime discussion that Fazio had, they're going to come out and just play power football and show BC that they're not dead yet. They want it, nothing tricky here. They just want to play power football and get themselves back in the ballgame.
1st and 10. Gladman with 63 yards. They'll give it to Tom Brown. Just a bang-bang fullback. He's 225 pounds, a junior who had a bad knee last year. And Ted Gaffney, a linebacker, is the man that pulls him down. They'll have Stennett come back into the ballgame. Randy Dixon is that right tackle. They'll try and do some things behind him or over him if they can. He's a good one with Mike Durundo, Barry Pettijohn, Mark Stepnoski, a freshman starting at the left guard. There's the story we originally started to tell you. And on the give over the middle and cutting to the near side is Gladman. Breaks the tackle and down to the 46-yard line. Oh, he had to really work to get 2 yards on that one. Carl Pelagata, the free safety from Milford, Michigan. And they get him a first down. 1st and 10 is what the call is, and the ball spotted on the 46-yard line.
Well, there's the definition of swivel hips as he continues to drive and move, and a little bit of hitting after he was down on the ground. I'm sure the referees have said something to both teams. Let's hit hard, but let's hit before the whistle. 1st and 10 at the 46-yard line. Gladman now with 9 carries for 69 yards. He's their bread and butter guy. He's got it again. 40. Out of bounds at the 40. Pelagata pushed him with the first man to get. You just saw Matt Stennett in. Tom Brown spins. He broke a couple tackles and spun off. And there's the value, young people, of keeping those legs churning and that body moving. He broke out of a tackle and got an extra 4 or 5 yards. Carl Creshbane and Carl Pelagata. They had to go to the strong and the free safety to make sure he went no further. Take a look at the blocking. A little double team on Ruth. But Ruth is still able to make the tackle or make the initial hit anyway. But as you said, Eddie, Tom Brown spun out of the tackle, picked up another first down.
Another 1st and 10. Kyle, you're right. 33-yard line's where it is. Kenjemi with a big rush. And pulled down from behind. There's that blitz. Boston, they brought the defensive end that time. That is Bill Thompson. And with Thompson, a little help over there. We'll see who it is.
Take a look at the far side. 95 is Chuck Gorecki. And 97, John Bosa, but they really are just the best spectators for Bill Thompson's tackle and sack.
Remember him? His mom's the circuit court judge in New Jersey, and his dad's a dentist. They get you coming and going both ways. Either pain-free.
Pain in the mouth or pain in the pocketbook.
Second down, 21. Ball on the 44-yard line. Pitt trying to get it going, trailing 14-3. Tom Perrell running Kenjemi out of bounds with help by Rory Perriman. We have received a report that Tony Woods has a pinched nerve. He's still a little weak. He is expected back in the second half, and that's a big loss for Pitt defensively because he's just a terrific performer.
Pitt's got a big 3rd down coming up.
How is Pitt in 3rd down conversions? They are 1 for 6 in third down conversions. High formation, Brown and Gladden. Third down and 16. Play action. No flag. Intended for Stewart. Freshbane was there. Rory Perriman. And he lost a little composure. Martin signaling, and they got a big bounce. Here it is again.
Take a look on the replay. Trying to drive him really deep, then turns to the outside. He got the secondary man, Giaquinto did, and the pass was catchable. I'm sure Joe went back to the huddle and said, my fault, Shawn. A good throw.
They had completed 9 straight passes until that one. Kenny Bell tries the middle of the line. Fumble! Loose ball, Pittsburgh. And that might be the first break of the ball game. Remember, Pittsburgh scored first on a 23-yard field goal by Brasco. That was in the first quarter with 5:47. And then Boston College came back with an 18-yard pass by Halloran to Martin and an 8-yard pitch run by Jim Bell, and it's 14-3.
Got both hands on it, but as he tries to use one hand to pick up the extra yard, he takes the other one off.
It's 14-3. Boston College over Pitt, and it could get real exciting.
A few weeks ago, I didn't like...
The 20th to 19. Tom Brown, his brother John Brown, is now a graduate assistant on the carry. John. Third quarter, 11 minutes to play. Stennett and Scales are in. That's Stennett in motion. About the 17-yard line, Boza tackling Tom Brown. So they've gone away from Jimmy, the quarterback. Jump pass to the tight end. To the 10. Clint Wilson. Bumped by Carl Pelagata. And down inside the 10 to the 8-yard line. Ball was on the 17. On a third down situation, it is now 1st and goal to go.
Boston College sent everybody they had up near the line, filling the lanes and allowed for single coverage. And that's going to, of course, cause a mismatch for most tight ends. Clint Wilson, 6'3", 230, going against Carl Pelagata, only about 190 pounds.
Rory Perriman still out. They say possible ligament strain, may return. Doubt it. To Jimmy. Tackle in the backfield. Mike Ruth with a good read and a flag thrown, and down goes Glad. Switches up to the slot on the right side. Tony Brown will be the lone running back. John Kinjemi, and a bad pass underneath intended for Brian Davis. It was not there. It was behind him and on the hip.
Well, Matt Stennett had a field all in front of him wide open. As that time Kinjemi sent out 5 receivers, held Stennett back in, let him go underneath the linebackers. And while Pitt has to get into the end zone, as they now face 2nd and 18, they would have picked up a lot of yardage with that one.
I stand corrected. I said Brian Davis. It was Matt Stennett. It's Brown and Davis, the running backs. Kinjemi under the center. Barry Pettijohn. Intercepted at the 3. It's Freshbane. And out of bounds at the 20-yard line. A flag thrown. And boy, you talk about a backbreaker. A penalty. A snuff job by Ruth, and now the interception. And who will it be on? A clip against BC.
But I think it's after the possession, so it will be assessed against BC, but they should get possession. And that's the important thing.
interception with 9:19 to play in the third, and BC was in jeopardy of losing that 14-3 lead. Here's the call.
Blocking below the waist on the run back, first down.
All right, Carl. There's one of those rules that we haven't had too much time to talk about. Maybe we will when we come back. It's 14-3 Boston College when we return. Bentley is 4 carries for 17 yards. Pitt's got to prevent from making mistakes here in order to get back in the ball game here in the third quarter. 11 minutes to play. Stennett and Scales are in. That's Stennett in motion. About the 17-yard line, Boza tackling Tom Brown. So they've gone away from Gladman and Penn State in a tough one over East Carolina in the first quarter. Pounds of blue twisted steel. Look at this guy. He can bench press 580. He can vertically jump 32 inches. And this time he jumped all over the Pitt offensive line.
Well, he just pushes Barry Pettyjohn aside. Looks like he's diving off of a swimming pool side and knocks Gladman down. Gladman, more importantly than the loss, might have been injured on that tackle, though.
If nothing else, he's going to think twice before trying to go back to the middle. Mike Ruth, an intimidating force at the nose guard, and the flag will go against Pitt.
To add insult to the injury.
Literally. And now Pitt
on the offense, first down.
First down still, holding on the offense. You heard the call by the referee. Brian Davis is in the game. So far, coming into the game, 22 tackles and 4 sacks. And there he is, the big man from Norristown, Pennsylvania, and a real nice young fellow. Brian Davis switches up to the slot on the right side. Tony Brown will be the lone running back. John Congemi, and a bad pass underneath intended for Brian Davis. It was not there. It was behind him and on the hip.
Well, Matt Stennett had a field all in front of him, wide open. That time, Congemi sent out 5 receivers, held Stennett back in, let him go underneath the linebackers. And while Pitt has to get into the end zone, as they now face 2nd and 18, they would have picked up a lot of yardage with that one.
I stand corrected. I said Brian Davis. It was Matt Stennett. It's Brown and Davis, the running back. Congemi under the center. Barry Pettyjohn. Intercepted at the 3. It's Crespane, and out of bounds at the 20-yard line. A flag thrown, and boy, you talk about a backbreaker, a penalty, a snuff job by Ruth, and now the interception. And who will it be on? A clip against BC.
But I think it's after the possession, so it will be assessed against BC, but they should get possession, and that's the important thing.
Interception with 9:19 to play in the third, and BC was in jeopardy of losing that 14-3 lead. Here's the call.
Blocking below the waist on the run back, first down.
All right, Carl. There's one of those rules that we haven't had too much time to talk about. Maybe we will when we come back. It's 14-3 Boston College when we return.
If you're
and now in the interest of player safety has been deleted, so the best advice is just keep it above the waist and keep your legs moving. Of course, you can use your hands to do that now, too.
On that Pitt sideline, Poge Fazio, you saw number 9 with a cap on. That's Darrell Woods, brother of Tony Woods, and he's a freshman. They say terrific player. Shawn Halloran. Out of trouble. He goes to Waddle, and what a move he made on Billy Callahan. As Lewis will run him out of bounds, or close to out of bounds, near the 45-yard line. Tom Waddle made a terrific move. as the young freshman from Cincinnati, Mulder, has shown some of that football tradition.
Well, Halloran has not been under much pressure, so really the offensive line of Boston College has done a tremendous job. We see it right there. Waddle goes across the middle, encouraged zone. He makes the catch. There's a nifty little move, and he's 1 against 6 right there. He does a pretty good job of staying away from him.
That's 3 catches for 60 yards for Waddle. Boston College, incidentally, penalized 8 times, 65 yards. Jim Bell. And a very appropriate time to call a running play. The way they've been moving the ball through the air, they finally go to the ground and pick up some yards as Apke and Walter Johnson on the tackle.
Well, you've got Apke and you've got all the linebackers for Pittsburgh on their heels now. They're so used to going back into pass coverage that you loosen up the defense a little bit. The way Shawn Halloran's been spreading the ball around.
Gladman has a bruised shoulder. He could return. Kenny Bell. And Bell got dangerously close to losing the football as he started to shift hands coming around the corner, Kyle. And he, of course, was the man that was guilty of the fumble in the first half that really hurt Boston College at that time. Matt Lavinia, who is 6'2½", 230 pounds, a sophomore linebacker, made the tackle.
But Kenny Bell does get the first down for Boston College, and they continue to be able to move. Again, the Pitt defense has not done the job today, and Boston College has really not been stopped the whole time except for the turnover, the fumble to Ken Bell, as you mentioned.
Kelvin Martin, along with Pete Casparello, run the game. Jim Bell in motion. Reed screen right. Inside the 35, down to the 33-yard line. Bill Callahan, senior strong safety from Pennsylvania.
Shawn is really reading his keys well. He's hitting the open man. He hasn't thrown too many times into double coverage. When he's had to throw into seams, he's gunned the ball so it wouldn't be picked off. Really been impressed with him today.
Keith Tinsley's come into the lineup. They go to a nickelback set. Out comes Walter Johnson. Jim Bell with 5 catches for 44 yards. Pitch back. That's Jim Bell. Jim Bell down inside the 20-15. Could go! And tackle from behind. Terrell Austin. As Jim Bell almost had 6. And a touchdown saving tackle. And hurt on the play, someone from BC.
We've got a blitz by Pitt, all-out blitz, and with this, Bell is able to get around him. If you beat one player, you beat a bunch of them on the blitz. Bell does it. He keeps his feet, moves all the way down into about the 3-yard line. We've got an injury on the field. But whether we stop our coverage for a moment or not, the point is Boston College has been unstoppable either on the ground or in the air.
Jim Bell now, 11 carries for 86 yards. And he's doing a terrific job of replacing Troy Stratford. Injured man, obviously all right there. At least he's able to get off the field as Sean Dombrowski, who had a hamstring problem coming in, but it doesn't appear that that's what he injured right there. We've had a lot of minor injuries today. Charles Gladman, Tony Woods, Willie Hislop. Hislop just ran off the field for Boston College, so he appears to be all right. And now they'll use Jim Bell as a lone running back with Halloran, and they'll stretch a wide receiver to the far side. That's Martin to the near side. Darren Flutie. Tight end in motion. Casparello. Use him to block. There's Jim Bell. Slides in. And Boston College looks terrific here this afternoon. They used the big right side of the line with Trapillo playing at a guard and David Wydell moving up into that number 1 tackle spot.
I know I'm not the first to give plaudits to Jack McNell of Boston College, but his offensive scheme is so creative, and he uses what they give you every time. This time being able to lose your top tailback, Troy Stratford. Obviously, Flutie is gone, but still the scheme works because the players are learning how to read the keys.
And the extra point by young Rooney is good. And suddenly Boston College in a commanding position with 6:33 in the third. BC 21, Pitt 3. We'll have BC Miami next week on USA.
Let me show you an old mechanic's trick. When you do a tune-up, make sure you don't forget the PCV valve and the gas filter.
Boston College with a surprising 21-3 lead. And I just go back and call to mind a comment made by one of the Pitt coaches in the newspaper today. They said that they were going to beat BC handily.
Well, those things have a tendency to hurt you a great deal. We're taking a look at the initial run by Jim Bell that got the ball all the way down to the 3-yard line. He got tripped up before he got in, but the point was, with Pitt going ahead and trying the blitz, they were able to beat the blitz with the run. There's Jim Bell, the man who's closing in on the 100-yard mark.
Jim Bell, 12 rushes, 89 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Took that pitch and curl to the outside for his first touchdown, this little 3-yarder, and he has done a beautiful job filling in for the injured Troy Stratford. Keith Tinsley, along with Darnell Stone and Anthony Brown. And it's Tinsley. He's going to try and run it. Good decision, as it turns out, as he gets back to the 21. So he gets an extra yard, no more. Run out by Giaquinto. Joey Giaquinto. We had a very fine baseball season for Boston College. They didn't have a good year as a team, but he hit very well over 300. Brown and Gladman will be the running backs with Clint Wilson. Charlie Gladman. Was that Gladman? It was. Back in there, and Ted Gaffney, the linebacker.
Setting things up for his own 3-yard run for the touchdown. But whether or not he'll go back to the pass is what caused the turnover. He's had a lot of success running.
Pitch back to Gladman. He needs 2 yards for a 100-yard game, and I believe he's got it. He had 98 yards coming with Roman. Stennett. Give it to Gladman. Outside, Garrick McPherson put the out here getting together to form a conference, which would include Miami, who we'll see next week, Pitt, Syracuse, BC, and more. That'd be a good one. Stewart in motion. Gladman. Jumping, hurdling, whatever you want to call it, inside the 50. And Tom Perrell, a backup nose guard and a defensive tackle, was the hitter on the play. 21. And 2. Pitt's not had the third down conversion success that BC has. Stewart in motion. Tommy Brown. And against the... have it. With a 4th and less than a yard. And Kajemi,
he's got it.
And he gets it by the length of a cigar. So, a 1st and 10. Pitt keeps it alive. Ted Gaffney, who missed the Temple game with an injury, was the linebacker on the play.
Take a look again at the surge. Ruth has got his head down. He's going to try to submarine the offensive line. He does so, but that also allows Kajemi to be able to jump across the top of him.
Pitt, who last week played Ohio State close. They lost 10-7. 2 missed field goals from 32-31 and a fumble cost them the game. Kajemi. Gladman, nowhere. Spins loose. Gets back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard, but Gorecki did an outstanding... here at Pitt Stadium, and it'll give us an opportunity to tell you that USA Sports continues to bring you the very best of Grand Prix tennis. Darnell Stone has come in for Tom Brown. Yeah, who we have over here?
See some of the knee braces that all the players, pretty much all the players.
And he gets it by the length of a cigar. So, a 1st and 10. Pitt keeps it alive. Ted Gaffney, who missed the Temple game with an injury, was the linebacker on the play.
Take a look again at the surge. Ruth has got his head down. He's going to try to submarine the offensive line. He does so, but that also allows Kajemi to be able to jump across the top of him.
Pitt, who last week played Ohio State close. They lost 10-7. 2 missed field goals from 32-31 and a fumble cost them the game. Kajemi. Gladman, nowhere. Spins loose. Gets back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard, but Gorecki did an outstanding job of sealing off the outside, forcing the run back into the pursuit inside.
And here's Gladman, who's down. He's been run a great deal. I don't know if it's fatigue or injury. Could be perhaps 1 quantities of both.
Well, he's run it 16 times for 120 yards. A procedure call coming up against the Panthers. And Brian Davis has come in. And I got to say that, Kyle, I got to think that perhaps it's a combination of a lot of carries and a lot of hitting. Well, he's going right against the strength of that BC defense. And Bosa and Mike Ruth up on that front line.
His third consecutive 100-yard game for Charles Gladman.
Clint Wilson is also limping a little bit on the Pitt side. So the nagging injuries are starting to take its toll. Michael Stewart in. Out comes Tom Brown. Tom Brown, incidentally, you wonder why he's such a good blocker for a fullback. He was a converted tight end. Darnell Stone has come in for Tom Brown. And who we have over here?
See some of the knee braces that all the players, pretty much all the players, wear now.
That's Mike Degnan. 6'4", 253 pounds. You know, there are over 30 companies in this country of ours who are manufacturing protective knee braces. That's how important it's become.
Yep.
Part of the look here at Pitt Stadium, and it'll give us an opportunity to tell you that USA Sports continues to bring you the very best of Grand Prix tennis. The Trans-America Open. Four-time titleist and defending champion John McEnroe returns to defend his title against a strong field, including Wimbledon runner-up Kevin Curran. Live coverage of the semifinals starts Saturday at 8 Eastern, and the finals on Sunday at 8. And that's tennis right here on USA. He's a beauty.
I want to remind you that the score here at Pitt Stadium is Boston College Eagles 21, the Pitt Panthers 3. And now we'll have Gladman coming off the field.
Well, what a job he has done this year. He had a little attitude problem last year, came back a new man, and when they tried to find out what the difference was, the coach said, well, you know, his grandfather's a minister. Huh. And when they were talking to the grandfather recently, he asked how Charles was doing. And they said, much improved, much improved. I wonder what the difference is. And the grandfather, the Reverend, said, we had a little talk this summer. I think he had a good talk with him because Gladman is a changed young man and being very productive.
Yes, he is. And they say he's got tremendous practice habits now, too. Leads the team in sprints. A lot of great players don't do that.
Scales and Stennett, wide out, Stennett in motion. John Kangemi. And he underthrows the intended receiver, the tight end, David Shook. Shook, who is the most improved player on the Pitt squad in spring drills, and getting a chance to play, and Kangemi just shaking his head. He's wearing that flak jacket that you can see, Kyle.
Well, he's got the bruised ribs. John Bosa came in and really gave him a shot. It was a legal shot because Bosa had a chance to knock down the pass, but you could see Kangemi is really hurting.
Kangemi is 6 for 16, 67 yards. Not productive.
I hate to say it's a one-man team, but I think for the Pitt Panthers, so goes Kangemi, so go the Pitt Panthers.
Third down, 3rd and 9. They are 2 for 9 on third down conversions. Not good. The line getting a big rush. And he found his man. What a job. And then fumbles the football, and it's recovered by Pittsburgh, I believe. Brian Davis, I think, snuck underneath the deep coverage. And over there to help him out was Chuck Scales.
Every receiver is told, they don't always do it, but every receiver is told when the pattern breaks down, you don't get the ball in the initial break, don't just stand there and watch what's going to happen to your quarterback. Keep trying to find open space. And that time they did. Gladman now down on the sidelines.
There he is. I think he's exhausted. Scales and Stennett, right and left. Give it to Brian Davis. Cut back against the grain. What a move! Oh! He spins twice and he's in.
Take a look again at why he is the top tailback in the country, recruited out of high school, an All-American. Does a couple of 360s here. They do a drill in that in practice, but he takes it into the game, and Pitt is finally in on the scoreboard from a touchdown. A nice field block by the fullback. What a juke he puts on the secondary of Boston College.
26 yards. The extra point is good, and that man, Mark Brasco, has made it a 21-10 ball game. And the most excitement that the Pitt fans have had all afternoon, but it's still not quite enough. Boston College 21, Pitt 10. John Congemi is down on the ground.
Well, Congemi's not the one on the field, but he's on the sidelines, and he is really holding his right shoulder. And, of course, Congemi being right-handed.
That looks like Randy Dixon. Boy, that's a tough one because he is perhaps their most effective and advanced offensive lineman. 280 pounds, a junior from Clewiston, Florida. Oh, Congemi, and now Dixon. And there are a lot of other kids that have already been hurt. As Dixon gets up, and with a tower of education in the background. And a little look at the Pitt skyline. Dixon comes off, and I'm sure a deep sigh of relief going to Joe Moore, the offensive line coach, who really loves this kid, his chances to become an excellent pro.
Some of the NFL scouts relieved, too, I think.
26-yard run by Brian Davis. What a fabulous, fabulous run. 11 plays and 4-11, and Charles Gladman is still down.
Well, a lot of teams would be decimated if someone of Charles Gladman's caliber went down, but when you've got Brian Davis behind him, they certainly don't look like they're missing much.
Tracy Giles. And now close to the 25-yard line. Quentin Jones on the tackle, and Tracy Giles, the freshman running back, 5'10", 195, with an average, but he's not run before today, gives way as the offense comes in. All right, Shawn Halloran, who has just been terrific. 21 of 26 unofficially and 296 yards. He'll run the show from the 26-yard line. Goetz to the center. Ken Bell the block. Jim Bell the block. Kelvin Martin at the 35. And John Lewis, the right cornerman, to drag him down.
The offensive line of Boston College, Eddie, is giving Halloran enough time to where, even on the initial break, if Martin wasn't open, Martin was able to fight into free space so that Halloran could hit him. That offensive line of BC is doing a tremendous job.
Terrell Austin has come in now. He's playing on the far side with Cal. And as they try and go middle with Ken Bell, who would average 4.5 yards a carry last year, a little less than that this year, he's pulled down by Matt Lavinia. Lavinia, one of the linebackers, and one of the very good linebackers here at Pitt, and Bill Sapio.
Lavinia, that one of the guys that started his first game against Ohio State. Lee Hetrick, who really hasn't had a good season, was penciled in to start at that other spot.
Second down and 6, ball on the 40-yard line. Jim Bell coming back in motion. Give it to Ken Bell on the delay. And swarmed under. He gets back to the 39, and it's a third down situation. And
got to be Gladman right there.
Yeah, he's got a back injury is what they're saying, and his return is questionable.
I think he's looking at back and ribs. He's touching the area near where his spleen is. So that back injury.
Third down and 8 on the 38. Quick pitch over to the near side, and a tremendous move and a fumble and a hit by Tony Woods, and Pitt recovers. Pitt has recovered the football. I believe it's Troy Washington. That's who it was. The freshman free safety came up to make the recovery.
Well, what a great move for Boston College. Again, they continue to read the defense, get Jim Bell wide open. No one's even close to him. Bell breaks into the secondary, gets knocked down, and importantly, the ball was corralled before it went out of bounds, so possession does go over. Had it gone on out of bounds, BC would have retained control and been way deep in Pitt territory.
Here's the thing we talked about, time of possession. If Pitt can control the football, they can get back in this one with 32 seconds in the quarter. They're trailing 21-10. Darnell Stone and Brian Davis, the running back. That's Davis. As he goes to the middle, John Bosa. make the tackle. Gieselman with a big job now, Kyle, running out of time in the third quarter, and the clock beating down toward the zeros here with 13 seconds and moving.
He's got enough time. He doesn't have to force anything. Here's another look again. It's Jim Bell. It's a little juke in the secondary, gets by, and then a nice hit there by Tony Woods, number 90.
And that is the end of the third quarter.
Humidity over 80% or 85 degrees in temperature. Anytime you begin to lose more than 3% of your body weight, it begins to have a real electrolytic effect on your system. And they've got to continue to get fluids on the sidelines, but still the heat and humidity can take its toll.
The humidity is varied. It started out at 59%. It's jumped up, and then it's crawled around a little bit. No rain. But it's a warm afternoon, and of course, as we've often indicated, so much warmer or hotter on an artificial surface than it would be if they were playing on a regular surface, a regular turf.
I also should mention that the wind that we spoke of, too, which up in the press box isn't too bad, down on the field, since Pitt Stadium is built down into the ground, I doubt there's much there, Eddie.
It'll have an effect only on kicks when you get that kick up in the air. Look at this guy.
Have an effect on mascots, too.
Yeah, well, the weight program that kind of transcends all kinds of human species, human, animal, whatever you want to call it. They even got the old mascot training these days. Tom Brown, he comes limping off. Tom Brown, 7 carries for 26 yards. He's a gritty kid. Oh, he looks tough, doesn't he? Tom Brown. He's another Pennsylvania product. Boston College. Losing the rushing war, but winning the passing war. And Gieselman now will pitch it back. That's Davis. Davis playing with a lot of poise. And it's Mike Ruth with a little help from Carl Pelagata to make the tackle. Well, I like him.
So let's watch inside. Here comes Ruth, 68. He plays off the block, reads it, and here's his speed. Moves to the outside, gets a little help, but Ruth is the one that knocks Davis out of bounds, as you said, Eddie, with a little help from 49 Pelagata. But that tremendous lateral movement of Mike Ruth is what makes him a sure thing in the NFL.
The total offensive game has gone to BC, but Pitt starting to move. Davis now 7 carries, 65 yards. This time they give it to Ezekiel Gadsden. They call him Zeke. From Frogmire, South Carolina. Oh, I love that one. I'm going to use that one some more.
You're going to get all sorts of letters now from down there.
That's all right. I love that. I'd like to take you down there for lunch someday.
Eat some legs, huh?
Yeah. Or some wings. Yeah. Quentin Jones, sprained right ankle. He won't be back. Gladman is doubtful to return to the game with a back injury. So the ranks are getting thin for Fazio. Stennett and Scales. His name is pronounced Fazio, by the way. Little pitch back, Brian Davis. And bumped out of bounds. Neil Eiton was there, although he did not make the hit. I believe it was Bill Romanowski. And Boston College now with a man hurt. It might be Bill Thompson, who was down here on the play also. Neil Eiton out of there. I think it's Thompson, the man that ran him OB. And that would be a big loss for BC, this fine young sophomore from Trenton, New Jersey. Boston College bench getting a little fidgety there. Time in their favor right now, 12:04, leading 21-10. And Coach Jack Bicknell is coming over here, but he won't have to come all the way. Pittsburgh getting into the spirit of things here with their cheer group. And BC looking forward to winning this one and getting home against Miami next week at Foxborough in a game that we'll have for you on USA. There's Bill Thompson. Yeah, a lot of interesting things have developed here today. Number one, I think Shawn Halloran has really come of age. Boston College's defense has done a good job against that offensive line of Pitt. And Pitt now starting to move the football against a strong Boston College front line. 21-10. Michael Stewart in motion. 4th and 2. And Brian Davis gets the first down and more. They are 2 for 2 on fourth down conversion.
The crowd is celebrating that first down, but they're not going to celebrate the look on the sideline. As here's the replay for Davis. He picked up the first down, but on the sideline, Charles Gladman is now being taken off in a wheelchair. Again, it's precautionary. But this man, number 34, Brian Davis, is doing quite a job.
He's got 9 carries, 70 yards so far. So he's really chopping up some turf, and he gets it again. And on the call inside the 20 to the 18. A 5-yard pickup. Gaffney and Romanowski. And there's Charles Gladman. Averaging 6.1 per carry coming into this game. He went over 100 yards again today for the 3rd time this season. Unofficially 120 yards, so he's got 103, 163, and 120 for the season. And now Brian Davis comes out. Anthony A.B. Brown comes in. It's a 2nd down and 4. Ball on the 17 of Boston College. And they're hanging precariously to a 21-10 lead. 11:07 to play. And they give it to Darnell Stone. And any one of a number of Boston College Eagles, start with Romanowski, were there to hit and make the tackle.
Let's remind you one more time the statistic we told you at the top of the show. In the 4th quarter, Boston College has given up 36 points, only scored 6 themselves. And again, with their depth problem, with their defense having to stay on the field as much as they are right now, it's going to be a factor.
Boston College trying to tighten up against Pitt, who's starting to roll up the first downs. That's 20. 1st and 10 on the 13. 10:38 to play. Stennett and Scales. Inside the 10. And that is A.B. Anthony Brown. Another freshman. He's a redshirt freshman. And they're really starting to chop up some yards on BC.
Well, this is where Bicknell would love to be able to take Mike Ruth out for a couple plays, take some of his other defenders, Boza, out, take Bill Thompson, Gorecki, give them a little bit of rest so they can play at 100%, because right now there's no way they can as many plays as Pittsburgh has been having.
Darnell Stone and Anthony Brown from the 7-yard line. 2nd down and 4. Where's he going? Carl Pelagata. Free safety, Bill Romanowski hurtling through the air with a tackle. And it was Anthony Brown again. Anthony, but you can call him A.B. for short. Brian Davis comes back, and they love it. Ezekiel Gadsden will come off, or Anthony Brown comes off. Now Stennett will come back for Pitt. Look at the front line. Here are the guys that are going to get the call. John Boza, Mike Ruth, Mike Degnan. And the clock tells the story. It's 21-10. 3rd and 5 on the 8-yard line in the 4th quarter. Stennett and Scales, the wideout. Stennett in motion. Cut back. And Davis inside the 5 to the 4. An excellent defensive read by Carl Pelagata.
Tell you what, I think he's got the first down, too.
And Bill Thompson, who's all right back in there, made the tackle. 3rd down, 5 situation. They had to get some yards, and let's see where they are. Going to be close. 4th down and 1. And remember, they are 2 for 2 on 4th down conversion. You kick here or do you go for it?
Oh, you got to go. If you want to keep your job, if you want to keep your house from being bombed, you go for it.
All right. Wilson and Shuck double tight ends. I just want to see what you're thinking about. Anthony. Well, Brian Davis. He did not get in, but he's down very close.
Well, if you catch the second bounce he was in.
Davis now 12 carries, 81 yards. Tom Brown, a big man in that front line there. Tom Brown, the fullback. I'm thinking of a Tony Brown, their front line on the tackle as I look down and he's there. Tom Brown, sprained left knee. His return is questionable. So they're having to go with Darnell Stone and Brian Davis. And Kangemi sneaks it across. And we have a brand new ball game. It's 21-16, Boston College with 8:05.
Nothing complicated here. Congemi on the 6-inch line. Just follows the lead of his front line. And if this extra point is good here, they're going to have to go for 2, because if they go for 2, they are still within a field goal of being able to tie it up. So a touchdown will put them ahead anyway.
15 plays, 66 yards, and they get their play, or their touchdown. Congemi. And it is incomplete, intended for Darnell Stone, the fullback. So, with 8:05 to play in the ball game, it's Boston. Will be kicking off, and he'll kick with a little wind to his back, and Boston College will have in double safety standing back on their own end line on the near side. They'll have Tyrone Taylor.
Don't even need to look at the number on that man. That was the forearm of Mike Ruth.
And on the far side, they will have Tracy Giles. Sorry, Kyle, I was looking at the deep men. Giles, 25. Beats his man to the corner and out of bounds at the 30, and a good return. Troy Washington, one of the tacklers for Pitt, and Nate Hayward was also there on the tackle.
Take a look at Giles and see the help he gets. Tyrone Taylor, 21's in front of him to try to run a little bit of interference. Taylor does a good job of sealing, which allows him to get to the outside and moves it all the way out to around the 34-yard line.
Shawn Halloran now with a lot of work to do. He's got Myalik at the fullback. He's got Jimmy Bell right there, and he gives it to him. And Walter Johnson wraps him up with Dennis Attia, the nose guard. Walter Johnson from Pahokee, Florida, and Dennis Attia from Allentown, PA. A senior and a junior. Jim Bell, incidentally, with 91 yards, 13 carries. There's big Walter. And they bring Tinsley and Carter in the game, and they bring Johnson and Attia out. Shawn Halloran, 2nd down and 8. And here come the Pitt Panthers with Tony Wood. And now we got a little shoving match going on down below.
Dennis Attia is pushing himself around, trying to let the people know, let Boston know that this game ain't over yet. On the other side, Tony Woods, number 90, puts Shawn Halloran down. And don't tell me that doesn't have an effect on somebody.
John Carter coming from the other side, helping out. Billy Owens has replaced Matt Lavinia as they go to a 5-back set on a 3rd and 8 from the 36-yard line. Kelvin Martin in motion. Crowd into it now. Shawn Halloran. He is tripped up from behind and down at the 39-yard line. Bob Bukowski was the man that tripped him up and stopped for good by Troy Washington.
Well, we're getting ready to see something we haven't seen all day.
This is it. Number 1.
Boston College punting.
First punt, Steve Peach. Quentin Jones, or pardon me, Keith Tinsley and Terrell Austin are back to receive. Peach averaging 38 yards a kick and 85, and his first one is not a good one. A little wobbly. And it touches a Boston College Eagle about the 33-yard line. I believe it was Giaquinto. So, we've got some excitement now. 6:53 to play. BC 21, Pitt 16.
The lengths people go to listen to a Delco music system may strike you as a bit odd until you've heard it. Nothing else sounds quite like Delco because it's specifically designed to match the acoustics of your very own
with a money-back guarantee. 13 weeks, $28. Phone 800-527-9800 now for the Wall Street Journal.
Anxious Boston College leading at 21-16. We are back in Boston next week, in fact in Foxborough, where we'll see the BC Eagles against the Miami Hurricanes. And if they do what they did last year, that'll be some ball game. But enough of that for now. We'll be there at 12 o'clock Eastern time. Right now, we got ourselves a beauty right here in Pittsburgh.
Well, they got 6 minutes to pick up 6. The last drive took about 7.5 minutes. They didn't use the pass very much. He still has that in his arsenal. But they were able to drive the ball on the ground.
Brian Davis. Ball starting at the 34-yard line. Chuck Gorecki, one of the defensive ends, will make the tackle.
Shows you what an elusive tailback can do. Excuse me, Eddie. Contact was made in his own backfield about 2 yards deep as it was. He picked up 3, so he made a 5-yard differential with that little dipsy-do.
6:27. Clock is rolling. Darnell Stone replacing the injured Tom Brown at fullback, and Brian Davis in running back with Scales and Stewart the wideouts. Scales to the near side. Stewart to the far side. VC with a 4-man front defensively. Kangemi over the middle. He's got Stewart, and he fights inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. And the Pitt Panthers are roaring now. Derek McPherson is the tackler.
This was an audible. He saw the single coverage, and he set the pattern up again. As Eddie said, McPherson was the man. McPherson is second-team cornerback. Rory Perriman is the man who normally starts there. So Kangemi smartly picking on the substitute.
Stewart now 3 for 51 on receptions. First and 10 at the 38-yard line. All electric legs. Brian Davis back there with those electric blue trousers he's got on as Kangemi runs out of traffic and down to the 31-yard line. And there are bodies askew everywhere. McPherson bumped him out of bounds. Got a good comeback block from Randy Dixon as Mike Ruth.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't a penalty, really.
Mike Ruth will limp back to the DC defensive huddle. Stand it out, Stewart in. Mike Ruth is stunned, and he's come out of the ball game as Dave Nugent comes in to replace him. You don't see that happen very often. 21-16, Boston College with 5:40, but they're back to the wall now. Scales and Stewart, the wideouts. Brian Davis, 25 to the 23 and down to the 22. Maybe to the 21. Carl Pelagata. And they've got it going as the clock stops with 5:32 to play in the fourth quarter. Boston College leading it by 5.
Take a look on the outside, how they try to play off the blocks. Unable to do so there as he dips inside and then is able to move to the outside. For Davis, coming up to almost 100 yards now. 14 carries for 94 yards.
He's wearing those electric blue tights, and they seem to help the hamstring problems. All electric legs. Stennett and Scales to the wideout. Give it to Darnell Stone. There's a flag thrown on the play. Ted Gaffney, one of the linebackers, was the fellow who made the tackle. There he is, number 57. 21-16. 5:07 to play. And this is a big penalty right here. Boston College on rushing yards, trailing Pittsburgh, but the passing game has belonged to BC.
BC must be closing in somewhere near 500 yards total offense now.
What's the call?
Illegal procedure on the offense. 6 men on the line of scrimmage.
Second time that's happened today. 7 penalties. Close to 50 yards. First and 15 at the 26. And Brian Davis gets back to the 20-yard line. Kyle, an auspicious debut for this freshman who has not played prior to today and is to be the cream of their running backs here in the future.
Well, he needs to buy some dinner for Dixon and Durundo and Pettijohn and Stepnowski and Sine and Tony Brown, all those guys, because the linemen are picking up the first 2 yards. It's allowing Brian Davis then to pick his spot, but the first 2 yards are picked up by the line.
Brian Davis with 100 yards now, 15 carries, 101. Stennett and Scales are the wideouts. Kangemi to throw. Threw it off the wrong foot, put it in the air, touchdown! Chuck Scales.
single coverage for Gieselman. He looks up. McPherson is out there trying to cover him, unable to do so. Comes back inside, and number 22, Chuck Scales, makes the reception. And Pitt has a 1-point lead at the moment. We've got another injured player on the field.
(22-21).
And naturally, once again, Pitt is going to go for 2 points to try to give themselves a 3-point margin so that a field goal from Boston College would only tie the game.
A 66-yard drive in 6 plays, and it took 2:42. And Pitt has scored 3 touchdowns in a row. And Kyle, what were we saying about time of possession being so important to Boston College?
Here's another look at it. McPherson showing a lot of respect. Scales, a little bit of a move, shows good speed. Just come back to fight for the ball, and when it's up there, it's anybody's ball. And McPherson a little bit late in picking up the quarterback's throw.
Carl Creshpain was the injured BC Eagle. That was just simply Scales against McPherson, athlete against athlete. And Scales won out. Stennett and Scales are stretched out to the right side. They're going for 2. 4:11 to play. And Brian Davis tries to go, but he can't. Well, that sets up a very interesting situation. Boston College, if they could get close enough, would put the freshman on the freshman kicker. We'll see what happens when we come back.
Starting now, the fun starts here with Lou, Sally, Rob, Frank,
Orange arm in a Coors Light beer. After silver bullets, each and every
they're
night.
fun.
Coors Light fun.
So before I can do anything, I get blindsided by this lineman named Everett. We called him the Mount.
Mount Everett.
They're human.
Happens to people all the time.
Coors Light, please.
I couldn't handle it.
They make you feel at home.
Arnold Baller. Give me the quarter. Rob, you got a quarter?
And you're invited each and every night.
We're gonna be at the Silver Bullet tonight. Sipping on a cold Coors Light. Party light. Silver Bullet won't slow you down. It's the most fun place in beer in town. There's no slowing down with the Silver Bullet tonight.
Coors Light beer.
Stay tuned, you hear?
Pittsburgh 22, Boston College 21. The first time that Pitt has led in the ball game since they led 3-0 on the Brasco field goal. Gieselman, incidentally, is favoring his right shoulder. That's been a problem here in the second half. He did not throw that ball well, and save for the fact that Chuck Scales showed some terrific athleticism, it was not a pretty play to watch.
Now Gieselman will get credit for it, but that ball could just as easily been intercepted.
Pat Vaillancourt will do the kicking off. Little wind at his back. Boston College has Tyrone Taylor near side. Tracy Giles far side. Giles in the end zone. Good hang time. 10, 20, 30. Nice run back by Tracy Giles. He's a freshman, and he has run the ball back well. Michael Hadley, a wide receiver, and Matt Bradley, a defensive end, on reserve here for the Pitt Panthers to make the tackle. 22-21, 4:06 to play in the ball game. Oh boy, it's right down to this. Shawn Halloran is the quarterback. Mahalik and Jim Bell are the running backs, and Jim Bell on the call. Bill Callahan, Matt Lavinia, Steve Apke, and Bob Bukowski, all in there for Pitt, one way or another.
Most importantly, in Shawn Halloran's statistics, no interceptions for him.
Second down and 8. Ball at the 32-yard line. The clock ticking at 3:35 to play. BC trailing it by 1. Shawn Halloran. Big rush by Bukowski. And underneath the coverage, he goes to Peter Casparillo, the tight end. A 231-pound junior in Terrell Austin. The nickelback in most situations was in there to make the stop.
A little bit frustrating to complete the pass and still be a little bit short on the first down. So they'll have 3rd and 1
They were using a double tight end set. Both Casparello and Gieselman were on the field.
22-21. Pitt, 3rd and 1. Ball on the 39-yard line. And Boston College has been stopped on a give to Kenny Bell, the fullback. And there are a whole bunch of blue jerseys down there. Lewis is there, Terrell Austin is there, and off the bottom of the pile is Bob Bukowski, playing his second good game in a row. Jim Turner coming in on a short yardage situation for BC.
Here's another look. A little bit of a surprise, an uneven line, unbalanced line for Boston College. I think perhaps one of the tight ends had set up on the wrong side, and they're going to certainly have to go for it here on 4th down. Boston College, however, is going to take another timeout to make sure they get the play right.
So a timeout call with 2:24 to play in the ball game. Boston College in a cliffhanger with Pitt. The Panthers 22, the Eagles 21. We'll be right back. Pitt has come back, and they've scored twice in the 4th quarter. A total of 12 points, missing on 2 two-point conversions. And now Shawn Halloran taking the opportunity here to talk to the head official, the referee, Joe Klimshot.
Klimshot is saying we had to wait for some commercial spots to be put in there.
Want to double-check the timeouts remaining in the ball game. They become very important to BC.
Got 2 left for BC, 3 for Pittsburgh.
Boston College trying to run against Bukowski, Atiyah, and Walter Johnson, and they think they've got it. They go behind their big horses, Gowetzky, the center, with Twombly, Capillo, the guards, and Regent and Waddle, the tackle.
See, they all read a lot of Norman Vincent Peale. They got that positive thinking.
Mahalik.
Fortunately, that's not going to move the ball any.
Mahalik, the fullback that time, and they're going to bring the sticks in, see what happens.
Well, unless the field is marked incorrectly, they should make it by about 3 inches.
I never argue with a guy who can figure out the percentages on checks for tips in a drop of a hat. Hal Road is the best. We got a first down.
Here's a look again at the defensive surge, and what a nice block for Boston College by Steve Trapillo, number 65, as he was able to knock the Pitt linebacker back and give him the room.
That is the biggest first down BC has had today. Maintain possession of the ball with 2:15 to play. 1st and 10. Halloran with a lot of time and a big rush by Bukowski. And he wanted to give it the dance. And he got into it a little bit there, but not quite what he thought maybe he wanted to do.
Well, you know, we talked about Bukowski taking 17 pounds off of his weight. He's at 258 now, played last year at 275. He said he wanted to be a little bit faster, and there's a good example of what that speed has added to his game.
2nd down and 10. Ball just shy of the 40-yard line. Shawn Halloran trips, blindside, and almost threw an interception. Blindside. Oh, they had him coming there, didn't they?
Terrell Austin is the one, excuse me, Eddie, that really did the damage.
Number 40 was also in there, and that's Dennis Atiyah, the nose guard, who's done a nice job. And so it's a 3rd down situation, and a must 3rd down. Boston College has converted on 5 of 10. Martin and Waddle are the wideouts. Halloran with his biggest test of the day right here. 5-back set defensively. Good time, and complete.
Not enough, though.
Not quite enough, and they're going to have to try another 4th down situation. That's Waddle. Boy, he's a tough kid. A freshman. Waddle is from Cincinnati and Moeller High.
What a great day that Halloran's having, but if I have one criticism, it is, as Bicknell's going to take another timeout, is that he doesn't anticipate when players are going to be open. If he had thrown the ball on the break, they would have had the 1st down, but because the receiver had to fight back towards the quarterback when the reception was finally made, he was not up to the first down marker.
Experience, that's what it's called, or lack of it. We have a 22-21 Pitt lead with 1:34. Conversion. And Pitt, a team that coming in only gave an average of 57 yards to the rush, will tighten up against Jack Bicknell's Eagles.
He took the headsets off because there's no creativity here. And now Pitt's going to call a timeout. They didn't have the right personnel in.
Well, they've been going with a 5 and 6. In the backfield. They're going to get the Clydesdales in there to see if they can pick up that first down.
And Fazio's on the sideline telling all of his front line defensive players to submarine to get penetration.
4th and 1. A terrific call by Halloran, and look out! Kelvin Martin. What a read by Shawn Halloran and a call by BC. A backbreaker with 1:21. And Boston College has gone ahead 27-22.
Well, they may have brought in the Clydesdales, but there was a quarter horse out at the wide spot. That was Kelvin Martin, who takes this pass easily from Shawn Halloran. And touchdown city, and he has now broken Boston College TD reception record with his 15th. But more importantly, he's put the Eagles up on top.
Kyle, what a fabulous fake that time by Ken Bell off the play action, and they had it ready all the while. They knew that Pitt was going to be coming with the big guys up front to try and stop the 1 yard, and an outstanding call by Halloran.
Well, got to give Bicknell credit. I don't think Halloran called that. I don't think any quarterback would have enough guts to.
Halloran right now looking at a 400-yard day. And that was some play by BC. And they're going for a pair. Good! Gieselman, the tight end, but a flag down. And now they've got some action on the field. And this could mean that somebody is going to be thrown out of here. Wydell, I believe, was involved. Or Twombly, Darrell Twombly and Atia, the nose guard.
We've got holding against Boston College, but if he is the one who's the stupid one, he has his helmet off. You should never be in a fight with your helmet off. Of course, I would want to fight with him with my helmet on.
29-22 with 1:21. And Atia is leaving the game. And I believe that he has been thrown out of here.
We had a holding on the offense, on the try. We will penalize that one. We had a dead ball, personal foul against each team. Those will carry over to the kickoff, and they cancel out.
Dead ball foul against each team. Carry over to the kickoff, cancel out. No penalty will be assessed in terms of marching off the yardage.
Well, they're going to have to march off yardage on the holding, and I think he said they're going to...
On the kickoff is what I was talking about.
Yeah, but he said it wrong. They've got to take the holding penalty right now to take the two-point attempt over again.
Let's see if he corrects himself. Well, he's got the ball spotted now at the 13-yard line.
Yeah.
13. So they marched off to 10 on the holding. They take that here. And now Boston College with a 5-point lead, and they'll go for it. A 51-yard scoring pass. Halloran to Martin has gotten them to this point, and they will not get the 2 points, but flags all over the place. It was intended for Sean Dombrowski. Apke, the linebacker, was there. Terrell Austin was there, number 19, in a penalty-marred football game. And this may give BC another shot at it. Oh, that'll drive the coaches wild.
Well, I'm going to guess the ball's going to end up on the 6.5-yard line. Let's see what happens.
There's your scoring drive. 8 plays, 70 yards. Total time, 2:51. Martin, 51-yard pass from Halloran. And Martin and Halloran have hooked up again for a couple of scoring tosses today.
Defensive pass interference. We will repeat the try from the spot.
Repeat the try from the 5.
Take a look again. Terrell Austin is number 19. Dombrowski is 44, coming across. Little bump before the ball got there. Unintentional, but contact nevertheless.
So they take it from the 5-yard line. And they go to a power I here. They go to the I formation. Halloran. And he gets the 2 points. And is that a big 2? Is that a big 2 points? And how important that penalty is now, Kyle. The mistakes has given Boston College an opportunity to go 7 points ahead when it could have been no more than 5.
Can you imagine the sigh of relief, irrespective of who wins the ball game? I mean, because Pitt still has time. But the fact is that Shawn Halloran got the team into the end zone in the same fashion that Doug Flutie did. And had he not done so, everyone would have said, well, if Doug were still here, we would have scored.
29, 22, 121 to play.
Here it is again. Counter option, and rather than pitching the ball, he takes it up and uses his tall 6'4" frame to get into the end zone. His knee did make contact before, or right as he broke the plane of the end zone. I'm surprised one of the Pitt players didn't disagree.
Right now, the comeback of Boston College